like I always do around this time of the year, I like to bring in like-minded individuals, I like to bring in people that are on the same type of time as myself, people that are in the streets, in the film, watching tape, breaking it down like we do here. So to help me do that, get into the NFL free agency, get into a potential full first round NFL mock draft, I'm introducing y'all to the homie, Stephon Sheffield. He's going to be helping me analyze these picks, team needs, all that type of stuff. Draft needs, team needs, position fit, scheme fit, all the nerdy draft shit y'all love to hear, but you're going to get it on a different way on this platform. So, without further ado, I have his social information. We'll get into that in a second. But like I said, to bring in my guest, Stephon Sheffield, welcome in to Timeline T. What's good, my boy?
What's going on, my brother? I appreciate you having me on. You know, we do this all the time. Glad to
For
finally
sure.
do on the pod. Let's get to it.
Yeah, man, you already know. So, hey, man, I have to say off rip, free agency really pushed the draft to the back burner a little bit because me and you been talking about doing this draft thing for a while, and we've been going over
Minute.
prospects, sleepers, the whole bit. And then
Whole time.
NFL free agency said, hold up, hold my beer. I'm going to
Man,
give you Saquon to the Eagles. I'm going to give you Josh Jacobs to the Packers. And I'm going to give you Kirk Cousins with yet another bag to the
man.
Falcons. Talk to me
First,
about what you've seen with free agency thus far. We will get to the draft stuff because that is the main reason why you're here, but we cannot ignore all the moves today.
well, first off, all I'm saying right now is that the running back market and the running back position is value. It's value. Like
Talk
we're
about it.
seeing it real. You know, last year it was, hey, you know, the position has no value. Like we can find another one in the draft, but look at free agency right now. You know what I mean? We got Saquon, we got Austin Eckler, we got all these big name backs, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, all these guys are signed already. So that doesn't. Let's just say one thing is that the running back position is gaining its value again. I'm gonna ask you this, Sam: is that because of CMC? Is I think he has a big thing to do with that. What you think?
I mean, I think for what we're talking about, right? Like free agency is supposed to be about splash moves. We could definitely get deep into the weeds in regards to,
Oh
we
yeah,
have tinkering with you're bringing in a new nickelback, you're bringing in a new,
right, right,
third
right,
third DT, you know what I'm saying, to fit into that
right.
rotation. But what we're talking about is them splash moves, the star power moves. I think I'm kind of gonna go lean somewhere else. I think that the Brian Burns move for the G-Men, when you're talking about Thibodeau on one side and Burns on the other, that potentially now, I'm not an edge rush guy like that. I like more interior line. I preface that. But you can't deny if you got Burns on one side and Thibodeau on the other, especially in that division where you kind of need dudes that can hold that edge. I like that move, and I don't think they gave up that much to even get a guy the caliber of Brian Burns. So to me, I'm leaning more towards that one.
To me, I think the Panthers did this a year too late because when you look at
Facts.
when they let CMC and they traded him, you had people willing to give three picks for Brian Burns. One of them being the first.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they waited too late to do this pick. But Brian Burns to the Giants, as you see on this cover right here, I am a Cowboys fan, and that scares me. That scares me because one, Brian Burns is a dog. Kayvon Thibodeau, yes, he didn't have the year that a lot of people expected, but what is he? A dog. Their interior linemen, dogs. So the one thing the Giants did do is get better on the defensive front, and I love that. And you brought up Kirk Cousins earlier. His agent is going into the Hall of Fame, bro. Because one thing
For
he
sure.
gonna do for Kirk Cousins is get him a bag. I
Yeah.
mean, let's look at the track record, right? I mean, when he was in Washington the first time, he had two franchise tags that totaled over 100 million,
Right.
right? When you go to Minnesota, you get your full contract guaranteed. He was the first to do that. Now you're coming off of extreme injury, and you still getting over 150, bro. I know this man going to negotiations with a bomb strapped to his chest. He has to. His agent is him.
I mean, dog, I'll show the folks here in case y'all don't know exactly what we're talking about. When you're looking at the contract signed by one Kirk Cousins, dog, it's right here in the flesh. You see the rookie deal, all rookie deals are fully guaranteed if you're a first round pick, and even just the rookie wage scale, all his money has been guaranteed. We're talking about 20 M's in 2016, another 23 and a half, 84 when he went to the Vikings, 66, 35, playing on the tag, still getting that fully guaranteed bread. And now one more again, 180 M's. Now there is 80 million of funny money, and y'all know how I do here that funny money, that'll be a discussion for another day, but at least 100 M's guaranteed still for Kirk
Still,
Cousins. And yes, indeed, over 400 million through 2027. Not only is his agent in the Hall of Fame, but as me and you were speaking about off air,
hmm
the stats are going to be there, so it's always going to be justifiable. The wins don't really matter when it comes to Kirk Cousins, as long
exactly.
as he puts up the gaudy numbers, which are helped by the receivers. By the way, Justin Jefferson, especially Stephon Diggs before him, and he had some dogs with Washington that helped him put up some gaudy numbers as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he always seems to fall into a spot where he could keep the numbers up and
hmm
cash out. So how do you think this fits? Obviously, an upgrade over Desmond Ritter. Me and you is an upgrade over Desmond Ritter. But how do you like future proof now with the Atlanta Falcons? How do the Falcons look now with a real QB, not a project, not a system guy, a real QB in the A to go along with the weapons that they also added to so far in free agency?
So, what was the big knock about Atlanta? Right, it was the lack of production, the lack of splash plays, especially from the quarterback position with
Right.
Desmond Ritter. Now, you know, we both work at ESPN, so I've worked a lot of Cincinnati games. I've seen Desmond Ritter plenty of times. I mean, I wasn't sold on him coming out. I mean, I think just because he's on team with Sauce Gardner, he got a lot of that media coverage. But we're going to leave it there. What's one thing Kirk Cousins has always done? And you said it. It was put up numbers. When he left Washington the first time, he said, "Oh, he's a stat pattern." Okay, well, how do you pad stats? You have to produce, right?
Yeah,
So
yes you do.
you ain't just padding stats by 180 yards, here and there. No, you put up some numbers. So I think it's a great fit. One, I think Arthur Smith being gone is the biggest thing because with Kirk Cousins and Arthur Smith calling the plays, John Smith would have had another 1,000 yard career, and a 1,000 yard season. So now you got a quarterback who likes to spread the ball around, who likes to pad stats. I mean, hey, if they equal into wins, then I really don't see a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you got Morris. He came over from the Rams, so new head coach in there. You got a quarterback can sling the football. You got a young gun and Kyle Pitts. You got Bijan Robinson. You got Mac Hollins. You got Drake London. You got all these weapons, bro. If I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, so Atlanta is right next door to me. If I'm a fan of
Mm-hmm.
that team, I'm salivating at the offense right now. We got some issues to talk about in the defense, but the offense, bro, I'm loving it.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've been the quarterback away for a couple of years now. They've been tantalizingly close to the playoffs, even with
Mm-hmm.
mid QB play. I mean, they were in the wild card hunt and even the division hunt with Desmond Ritter and Marcus Mariota the last couple of years. Now you're bringing a clear, I won't say top tier, but certainly a clear upgrade in Kirk Cousins at the QB position to go along with the Cal Pitts. Now we'll see Cal Pitts. There's been a lot of talk on this channel, specifically in the chat, in regards to, is Cal Pitts really him? He looks the part.
Right.
Did they draft him too high, et cetera, et cetera? My whole pushback was I can't grade him until he's with the actual QB.
Boom.
So now he has Kirk Cousins, who knows how to utilize tight ends. So we know
Mm-hmm.
he gonna get him the rock. Now you put him with the Drake London, who at times can flash like a number one. Now we're gonna see if he really is a number one, because Kirk, if at one thing, he gonna put that ball up. He ain't
Yeah.
trying to scramble. He ain't trying to do all that mobility shit. He like, nope. Go up there and go get it. Justin Jefferson used to get 15, 16 targets. Drake London, welcome. You're about to get 12 or 13 targets a game. Let's see what the
Mm-hmm.
hell you got.
This may be a hot take, but I can see Kyle Pitts having an David Njoku type of year with Kirk Cousins. I can see it because
I can see that. Yeah.
he is a linebacker's worst nightmare and he's a safety's biggest concern. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you thought Isaiah Likely for the Ravens was a problem, that late season run,
Right.
Kyle Pitts was a real quarterback who likes to air it out. Man, come on.
Facts.
Man.
And I'll hit the chat real quick because we do have some folks tapping in. What's good with Scrub Zero and Abdiel? Thank you for pulling up. But Scrub Zero is tapping in about the Saquon move. Glad Saquon got away. Let me make sure I move this up so the folks can see it. All right, we got that right. Glad Saquon got away from those blue bums in New York and got his money. Wish he got more, but we know what it is right now. I think to that point, I do have the contract numbers. It is better than what he was offered last year when they tried to extend him. I don't know if it's a great contract. It looks good on the surface, but that's counting a lot of incentive and bonus money that we saw what happened last year when he tried to get the incentive late in contract. Right. He hit less than half of those incentives. So he held out and earned less money because he bet on himself. So more fully guaranteed money, but certainly not enough with the skill set that he possesses. Because me and you, Seth, been talking about it, trying to navigate where is Saquon in 2024. Is he top 5-ish? Is he top 10-ish? And if he is on that bottom half of 6 to 10, what's the market for that? And we see what the market is. It is not 14 M's a year. It is not 15, 16 M's a year. It's looking more like 9 mil a year with a bunch of incentives. Talk to me about Saquon. What's good?
If you can guarantee me injury-free Saquon, I think we can have a discussion, right? But you also have to think about what team did he just go to. He went to the Eagles. One, they have a running quarterback. And I know what you're going to say, yeah, Daniel Jones was a running quarterback. Man, get out of here. They got Jalen Hurts, and they also have a diva in A.J. Brown. Like, I think that's the biggest thing. What happened early in the season? He went and blew up on Jalen Hurts at the beginning of the season. I know, I was working that game. You know what I mean? Shout out to
Talk about it.
I was working that game. So he went because what he say? Give me the ball. Feed me the rock. Like, I don't think Saquon's a diva, but A.J. Brown certainly is. You know what I mean? I think he should be more like Devontae Smith, in my opinion. But you're on that team now, and you're the new guy coming in. So if you're telling me that you may get 1,000 yards from Saquon and, maybe get 400 yards receiving, I'm not mad at that. I think it's a pretty good contract. Now, had Saquon stayed healthy through his career thus far, I'm definitely with you. He should have got more money, but you also have to look at the team he just went to. I mean, Jalen Hurts just got his money. You know what I mean? They trying to a lot of people on the defensive end. Their backfield on the defensive side is terrible right now. So, I mean, considering what the market is, and he did get more than what he was offered last year. So I think he's coming out great. I mean, and you are going to a legit contender in the Philadelphia Eagles. Like I said, I'm a Cowboys fan, so it hurts me to say that, but that team did get better by adding him.
Yeah, I to piggyback off of that point, when you pair, I'm sure Saquon, I would like to think, could have gotten more money elsewhere, but the trade-off would have been there was probably going to be a trash-ass squad, right?
So let me jump in. So what did DeAndre Hopkins say last year? He said, I want to go to a team where it's a winning culture.
Right.
I want to be paid like a top back, and I want to go to the right fit. And he ended up going to the Titans. So, Saquon can actually say
there wasn't a market for Saquon?
I'm not saying it's not a market, but where were you going to get 2 of the 3 things at least that you were looking for? Like a legit contender and the fit. Because to me, DeAndre Swift and Saquon have similar running styles. I think Saquon's a little bit better. Actually, I know he's a little bit better. A little bit more versatile, but they have a winning culture because, they win. And also, it's the right fit. So, is it top running back money? I mean, who are you comparing it to? Are you comparing it to the market now, or are you comparing it to like the highest paid at the position? Because I think that's the difference.
Well, if you're trying to average out top 5, you're talking about McCaffrey gets about 15, 16. Henry's was up there around 14, 15. So like all the top guys, the guys that you would assume Saquon maybe not on that level bar for bar, but not that far below, you would think he should be at least in that 13 to 15 range. roughly, because the franchise tag was 12 to 13 last year, so it makes sense. But if you're signing, like right here, we had the contract. It's a 3-year deal, 37, basically 38 million. That could be worth
Mm-hmm.
up to 46. Let's round up about 47 million. So there goes the funny money. You get $10 million of incentives, and it
Right.
includes 26 million fully guaranteed at signing. Okay, so now Schefter, our coworker, makes sure that to put this in here because his agent is the one that's really feeding this info to all the insiders. So Barkley now beats the franchise tag number. That's the narrative they want y'all to think of. Hey, he got more money than he got last year, but he's signing away 3 years, and his maximum, not minimum, not average. The maximum average per year salary is 15.8. We could round up to about 16, which he says which would be second highest for a running back in NFL history. But that's if he hits all the incentives, which we don't know what they are yet. So if he doesn't hit those incentives, what's the average of that contract, Adam? Because you're telling me what the maximum is. What's that minimum? Because
Exactly.
that's
So
why I'm hesitant to feel like he got a good deal. Because as you said, Jalen Hurts is a running quarterback. So if his incentives are tied to rushing yards, I mean, what type of numbers you expect him to get when he has a running QB that also has to feed a beast number 1 wide receiver and diva in AJ Brown and also Smith as well?
I feel like your production requires it. You're gonna get the ball because let's not forget DeAndre Swift went on like a 6-game run where he was putting up numbers, and it wasn't until like that 7th game where they kind of went back to the passing game. You know what I mean? So
Right. So
like,
it was at the expense of AJ Brown, right? So
but that's where you need leadership in the locker room. Though that's where you go to him and be like, hey, look, man, if we winning, I know you ain't getting your numbers, but you paid. You know what I'm saying?
right,
The team is
right.
like we gonna feature you, but this is what we have to do because you also have to remember Jalen Hurts was hurt. He was injured the majority of the year. No
Yes,
one
he
came out and
was.
said it, but he was injured for like 10 games. So, his escapability was compromised to a certain degree. Him pushing off his back leg was compromised to a certain degree. So, what were they doing? Okay, let's get the ball to DeAndre Swift. Let's feed Gainwell. Let's feed all these guys because, you're probably not helping him by doing a tush push every other play, but
No, no.
with this contract here, it's pretty much in Saquon's hands. Just like with Chris Jones when he had signed his incentive based deal last year. If you want to get paid, go perform. So I'm not mad at that.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I hear you on that, and I think ultimately, look, he signed the contract, so he's going to have to live with that. He's going to have to live up to that contract, and if he wants that second highest per year average salary, he's going to have to perform like he is one of those. So we'll see about that, and I'll hit Scrub Zero in the chat. He's tapping in again, talking about Brian Burns to the Giants. Brian Burns helps, but I've never looked at him as a top guy on the edge. Okay, interesting commentary. Glad he got his contract though. Always good to see players getting dubs. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm apparently higher on Brian Burns than you are, Scrub Zero. I mean, I think you're looking at an impact guy on the edge. Like, this ain't just a dude that, was making bread on a trash squad. Like, Brian Burns was him, and that, as Stefan said earlier, like, they should have moved him last year when they did the fire sale, and they moved off of damn near everybody else who's worth a damn on that roster. Burns should have been one of those ones. They could have imagined the draft collateral, because I don't know the particulars of the trade details, but I didn't see anything that was like
Hits.
all that crazy in terms of what did the Giants have to give up to get Burns in this deal.
I didn't see it, but I don't know if you watch a lot of Panthers games. I can see why you don't because honestly, they're not that good. But if you saw him play right next to Derek, on that front line, that man is a monster. He
Yeah.
is legit a monster. He's not talked about enough because he's on the Panthers. Kind of like with CMC when he was there. We knew about CMC because he's a white running back who's just amazing. But Brian Burns is him, and you think, like we said earlier, if you look at him next to Kayvon Thibodeau and you look at him next to Dexter Lawrence, that's a solid front line. That's on paper, that's top 5 to me. You know what I
Right.
mean? I think the production him and Kayvon Thibodeau going to have together is what, Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith should have had last year. You remember when the
Right.
Browns signed, it was like, oh, the league in trouble. They only accumulated like 19 sacks together, and 15 of them coming from Myles Garrett. So I mean, I see that type of production coming from those three. You know what I mean? Derek went on the Panthers with Brian Burns because he ate up so much attention. He had 99 tackles as a defensive tackle. So imagine what Brian Burns is going to do next to Dexter Lawrence, who himself is a beast, and Kayvon Thibodeau, who didn't have the year that everybody expected, but in his own right is still a monster. Like
Yeah.
the Giants definitely got better today, and so did the Eagles. I hate to say it because again, I'm a Cowboys fan. We waiting for Jerry to do something, and he over here just twirling his thumbs, man. He twirling his thumbs. Even the Commanders making moves. Like what's going
Facts.
on, bro?
Austin Eckler. And let's go ahead and jump into it because we've been talking about a lot here on this channel in regards to the running back market and how it stands now. But let's go ahead and tap in. Look, we got Saquon to the Eagles, Josh Jacobs to the Packers, Austin Eckler that just came down not that long ago to the Commanders. You just mentioned earlier Tony Pollard, the guy from the Cowboys, is now a Titan. The Bears go out there and make a move and get DeAndre Swift to upgrade their running game. Whether it's a real upgrade, that remains to be seen. Me and you offline been talking about Devin Singletary and the Texans in regards to what could he be. He moves on. He replaces Saquon in New York. Gus Edwards, then admirably with J.K. Dobbins being out last year, he goes out there while Harbaugh to the Chargers. I don't know if that replaces Austin Eckler, but certainly could play a role there. He doesn't do the same thing, but could be. But someone who does do the role in a similar fashion, Antonio Gibson, goes to the Patriots. And breaking news, we have Jacoby Brissett goes back to New England. Now, we didn't get to the mock draft yet. Does this alter anything in regards to a QB for the New England Patriots in the first round? Is Jacoby Brissett, we know he's a bridge.
I'll get into it.
Enough of a bridge to where you now don't have to jump out there
No.
with the third pick and take a QB?
No.
No?
No. No.
Okay.
Let's go back to the running backs right quick. Because Tony Pollard to the Titans doesn't move me. Because let's take a look at Tony Pollard, right? You replaced the guy in Ezekiel Elliott who was a what? Who was a bruiser. And we saw that maybe being the number one back is not your game. You need a thunder to your lightning, right? And now you're replacing the bruisers of bruisers in Derrick Henry. Like, did the Titans not watch him play football all last year? Like, him replacing a fading Ezekiel Elliott, it was like, okay, we've seen the splash plays. We think Tony Pollard can be our guy. He showed it was a bad contract here for him. So
yes, it was.
That was Ezekiel Elliott. Now you're replacing Derrick Henry, who we've seen wear and tear does not affect at all. Like that's not the fit for him. If you're Tony Pollard, you want to go to maybe your Chargers because you and Austin Eckler have similar games. Y'all have similar running styles, and you can catch out the backfield, the big splashy back, or the Dolphins if they're looking, or even the Ravens. But the Titans, nah. I get you going home because you went to school in Memphis and all that stuff, but nah, I don't see that working.
I mean, if you're look, Vrabel's gone, right? So and thank you, Scrub Zero, for letting us know Giants gave up a second and a fifth for the trade for Burns. So
that's it.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't give up a whole lot. Like no first, no future first, a second and a fifth to get a premier edge rusher to go, as you said, to go along with Thibodeau, to go along with Dexter Lawrence. In that division, you need a pass rush. You got to get home with 4. The Giants made a big step in being able to accomplish that with this deal. But I think to your Tony Pollard point, I'll touch on it this way. With Vrabel being gone, you can assume that they're going to go away from the ground and pound offense that they've been doing ever since he got there. With Tony Pollard now in the tuck, could it be possible with Will Levis in the fold as QB1?
Mm-hmm.
Could they be going for a more up-tempo, more open, more 2024 style offense now that it appears they're moving on from King Henry?
I mean, you can.
If that's the move, do you understand the signing that way?
I mean, if that's what you're selling, then I'll buy it. It still remains to be seen because you still have to remember Ryan Tannehill is still around there lurking somewhere. He's still lurking. So
Well,
if that's what you're selling me, okay, I'll buy
well,
that. I'll buy that.
yeah, I don't I think there's no way in hell Tannehill is a Titan coming into the season. I think he's a free agent, so I think he's gone anyway. So I
Okay,
mean, I think right now,
you didn't
if
touch
we're
on
look,
Russ. Russ to
I
the
mean,
Steelers.
look, we ain't even talk about that. Russell Wilson to the Steelers, as we have some other news. Seahawks are closing on a deal with Leonard Williams. These are all happening in real time. So me and Steph are
That's
here
why
to
you got
react to
Brian
NFL
Burns.
free agency.
That's why you got Brian Burns because of
Right,
that.
right.
And you get an upgrade. You get an upgrade. Brian Burns is a significant upgrade for sure.
It's I think ultimately when we're going back and forth on this, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously the Kirk Cousins contract is one that needs to be bowed down to, but these
Oh, for sure.
running backs,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a move here that is a game changing move. I think Saquon is an upgrade over Swift in Philly, so I'll say that off top. However, I don't think it's that big of a leap because of how they run that offense. If they were giving the rock to Saquon 25, 30 times, then maybe that would be that much of a game changer. But because he's a part of an ensemble in
Mm-hmm.
Philly, he's just another not he's not just another dude, but he's not the
Right.
star there. We know that's the Jalen Hurts show.
Right.
So him coming in being the third guy essentially behind AJ Brown,
Right.
I don't see any of these moves as being a big splash.
I will say that Saquon is a game changer because you're now looking at being number one in the division. Well, in your respective division, NFC East, right? Because
Right.
once one thing the Cowboys struggled with, stopping the run,
Mm-hmm.
stopping the run. Even when we play Saquon on the Giants, now you have to account for not only the quarterback and these two dynamic number ones on the edge. Now you gotta account for Saquon. Like him leaving, if we'd have to pay him twice a year, I'd be like, okay, we're good. But we still have to play him twice a year. So that's the only thing I say. That move pretty much puts them closer to being number one in the NFC East.
I agree with you, right? Like I don't think there's a lot of comp unless y'all decide to make a move. I think it's the Eagles, the division to lose. But speaking of your squad, as you mentioned
Mm-hmm.
earlier, they've been kind of quiet. The division is clearly out here moving and shaking, getting the rosters lined up, getting them better. It's quiet right now in Jerry's world. Where's the glaring need right now in free agency? Is there someone on this board that has come off the board that you wish Jerry and them would have been in on? Like, what are the missed opportunities so far for the Cowboys to improve their roster?
I think the biggest one, I mean, is the running back position now. Like, go get Derrick Henry. Like, the most success we had came when we had a dynamic running back with Ezekiel Elliott. And like I said, it's only one player who shows me that wear and tear does not affect them through high school to their professional career, and that's Derrick Henry. Like he is the bat that Mike McCarthy needs, right? Because what did he say at the beginning of last year? Hey, we're gonna run the ball more. That was a lie because he tried to do that with Tony Pollard, and everybody had their career lows up until that point. So then what he started doing, throwing the ball, throwing the ball, throwing the ball. So to me, if you want to make me happy as a Cowboy fan, go get Derrick Henry right now, and then address every other need after that and in the draft. That's what I think.
Like, I agree with you. I think Derrick Henry obviously is an upgrade. And I think ultimately, when we're talking about running style, that ground
Mm-hmm.
and pound, I think that would actually really help Dak in this offense because the pressure
Sure.
that's been put on Dak to put up points and to put up big numbers. I'm not saying he's not him, but I don't think he's in that top tier elite class, right? So, but if you keep having to pay him like he's that because he's putting up numbers like he's that, then I think you need to scale it back. You let Pollard go. We know what that was about. You go get Derrick Henry, probably on a short 1 year or 2 year deal. But
Mm-hmm.
now that window to win is not even
Oh, for
small.
sure.
Because as me and you were talking about, Dak's gonna want his bread.
I think this
So
is
who
a
we gonna pay in a couple years?
this is the year for everybody. Like Dak, you got one more year. Even though Dak performed last year, I'll give him that. But Mike
Mm-hmm.
McCarthy, this is your last year to make some shape. You know what I'm saying? Like you've won 12 games the past 3 years. You know, so it's 36 wins over 3 years. But what do we have to show for it? And again, like if this is the Commanders saying this, they're celebrating, bro. We won 12 games. But this is the Cowboys. We know how they're perceived in the media. We know they're perceived because of
Right.
Jerry Jones' motion. So, Mike McCarthy, this is your last chance. Oh, I think he gone. Dak, this is your last chance. Oh, I think he gone. You know what I mean? Like, because they gonna resign Micah. They gonna resign CD Lamb. So
Right.
this is everybody's last chance. Like, you have to go in all in now. That's why I say go get Derrick Henry. Go all in and go win it. Go win it.
I think so. I agree. And shout out to Scrub Zero being active in the chat. The
Oh,
biggest winner in free agency is Kyle Pitts. He finally gets a real QB to play with. I mean, that's facts. We're finally going to see those weapons, like me and Steph touched on earlier. You're finally going to see those weapons if they're really real weapons. We're going to see if Kyle Pitts deserved to be drafted that high. We're going to see if Drake London actually is a number one when you're bringing a QB like Kirk Cousins.
So who was throwing him the ball in college? Was it Kyle Trask? So he really hasn't had a real
He's
quarterback.
never had a real, he probably hasn't had a real QB since high school. And who knows who his high school QB was? It might have been one of them dudes that I'm gonna just throw it to him every play type dudes.
Oh yeah, got to.
Scrub Zero, it's always quiet in March for the Cowboys. Jerry stayed dragging his feet. I mean,
Don't get me on Jerry, man.
no
Don't get me,
no lies detected.
man. Don't get me started on Jerry.
So we see this with Jacoby Brissett, and I think that this is potentially a good spot to pivot just a little bit into your mock draft. So you have been in the lab, you have been watching film, doing deep dives on roster construction, doing deep dives on scheme and fit. Talk to the folks about the work you put in, number one. So I want people to understand, yes, we could just sit here and just throw names in the air and, say this team should take this guy, but you're really in the lab doing the study, doing the analysis, doing the player comps. Walk folks through what your process is when you're breaking down film.
So the first thing, from a realistic standpoint, not as a fan, like, you know what I mean? You have to really sit down. What does my team or what does this team need? You have to look at, okay, who are they got in the free agency? You got to look at age. You got to look at all this stuff. And so it's up to you to do your due diligence to research these guys. Like, just listening to Mel Kiper, you're going to fail every time. Let's keep it above. I love Mel, also a coworker of ours, but you have to do your own film studies, because I saw one time he said that, the Texans should take this guy, defensive tackle, when, the Texans was running a 3-4 at the time. The guy was a 4 technique. So it was like, that doesn't even fit. So knowing those type of things about ball, because, we played it, for years, I know how to break it down. Again, all of these, mock draft projections are what I think based on what, the need is and what I saw on film. So let's preface that by saying that. But you have to do your own study, bro. You have to. Just like with everything. Somebody can tell you everything in the world, but if you don't look for yourself, then you just lost.
Yeah, because I remember last year I was doing a lot of hits on ESPN radio with the homie Greg Larner. Shout out to him out there in Tennessee. And, because of where he's at in Chattanooga, Tennessee, they have a lot of Titans fans and Falcons fans. And I was telling him weeks leading into the draft, yo, dogs, the Falcons should take Bijan. The Falcons should do it. And he's like, nah, they can't do that. They got other needs. I'm like, yeah, but Bijan's that special. You have to, if you watched him on film, if you watched any of his games, you can't tell me if you're sitting there at 8, knowing that your number one RB is Tyler Algiers or Cordell Patterson, that you're going to pass on Bijan Robinson. And ultimately, that's what the Falcons did. So I agree with you. I'm going to pull up the full draft order for the first round. We're only doing the first round because, ain't nobody got no time for those 7-round mock draft. But I want the folks to get a sample of how your analysis goes. We have access to a big board. We have access to other people's mock drafts, so on and so forth. But go ahead, Steph, and walk us through. The Bears are on the clock with the first
Okay.
overall pick. So we're assuming there's no trades in any scenario. Wherever you
Mhm.
at, when you did this over the weekend, this is where
Right.
you're at, and you're doing a mock off for that. Bears are on the
Right. So
clock. What do you got?
the mock draft was created at 2:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 7th. So the only free agent deal that had been done was Mitch Trubisky to the Bills. I want you to keep that in mind as I go through this mock draft. So,
Right.
what are the three biggest needs for the Bears? Is interior O lineman, wide receiver, and a quarterback. I
Okay.
mean, let's be real. This is in 2018. We don't see a Baker Mayfield coming out of nowhere with the number one pick. That's not what's happening. You know what I mean? The
Right.
buzz has been on this kid the entire time. We know who it is. They're going to draft Caleb Williams at number one. I don't.
Okay.
I mean, based on the buzz around him, it's like you can't pass on him at number one. So I mean, whether I don't think they're going to re-sign Justin because I feel like they would have did that by now. But you know, I think he's getting drafted at number one. What you think?
So I've been talking about this. I went into a lot of detail last week on the podcast here on this channel,
Mm-hmm.
and I think if they do Caleb Williams there, if they take Caleb
Mm-hmm.
Williams with the number one overall pick, and let's say they hang on to Justin Fields and let him
Okay.
play out the string because he is still on the contract for one more year. It would just make sense for the Bears to trade them. But I ask you
Yeah.
this: what about the Bears franchise makes you think they're going to do something that makes sense? I mean, last year, Jalen Carter's sitting there at 9, and they go take a right tackle out of Tennessee. So I think the Bears will do it. I
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately think they're going to trade Justin Fields, and I don't know if the return they're going to get for him is worthy of just getting rid of him just for the sake of clearing the deck for Caleb Williams. But I do agree with you. If they still have that pick, regardless of whether they trade Justin Fields or not, you have to go with Caleb Williams. As much as the other QBs are intriguing, and I could definitely
Mm-hmm.
paint a scenario where you go Marvin Harrison, number one, and say the hell with the QB until you get back at number 9. But if you're standing pat, if you're doing it the generic auto sim and Madden way, yes, I
Right.
think you do have to go Caleb Williams there.
The reason I think they trade Justin Fields because if you wait till next year, you're getting nothing for him. Which I mean, something is better than nothing. Whether you get a 2-5 like a Brian Jones, something's better, in my opinion. Something is better than nothing.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I feel you. I feel you. And I do think if you can get, let's play it out, right? The
right.
Bears were trying to get multiple first. The whole league said, I'm good, love, enjoy. So
Mm-hmm.
now they're probably looking at that Brian Burns type thing where you might get a second, maybe a couple of seconds, maybe a second and a third.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely ain't gonna be no Aaron Rodgers type deal like last year. Like it's not even gonna be that. So if you're telling me the best you can do for a guy that's gonna be a QB1 somewhere is a second, a couple of seconds, a second and a third, a second and a future third, like that's just a hard sell for me, Steph. I ain't gonna hold you. It's a hard sell for me.
I think Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, the first time, Aaron
Mm-hmm.
Rodgers, all those trades has vastly skewed what we think about these trades, right? You gotta think about it. Aaron Rodgers was elite of elite, right? Russell Wilson,
Right.
once upon a time, was elite of elite. Deshaun Watson, he was trending that way. Like Justin Fields has showed us flashes of greatness, but it hasn't been over a long period of time. Granted, it wasn't his fault. You can't say, "Oh, that's a bad car," but there's no transmission, there's no tires, no windshield wiper fluid. Of course, it's gonna be a bad car. He had no weapons, he had no O line, and terrible coaching. So I get that, but you just haven't seen enough to ask for that much. If that makes sense, in my opinion.
So why not take Marvin Harrison, right? If you know you got Justin Fields no matter what for another year, you got Marvin Harrison, who to me is the best player in the draft, hard stop.
Okay.
If you have Marvin Harrison right there as the premier weapon available in this draft, and you have a QB who just last year finally got a semblance of a weapon in DJ
Right.
Moore, why not double down and say, all right, we helped you out with DJ Moore. it was an up and down year. You had some spots, you got injured, but you're able to come back. Let's just give this one more run. You brought back this head coach, so it's not like he's got to learn a whole new system, right? So in essence, why not give it one more run with Marvin Harrison, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet? You went out there and got DeAndre Swift, so you're bringing in weapons for whoever the QB is. Why not go and get the weaponist of weapons in Marvin Harrison? And now you got Fields, DJ Moore, Harrison, DeAndre Swift. If you want to act like Cole Kmet's a weapon, fine. Maybe he is with all these weapons around. Maybe now he can eat. But, like, why not do that? And then if Justin Fields plays the way we think he can, then you give him the bag. And then you don't got to worry about nothing. Then you still got the number 9 pick, where depending on who slips, who falls, maybe there's something you do there.
Because think about what you said. You said, what if, right? So what if you do all that and he's still a flop? And he still doesn't produce, or he gets hurt?
Okay, go ahead.
So, like, you see what I'm saying? What if Caleb falls to Washington and he is, what they project him to be, Patrick Mahomes-esque? I don't think he's that. But what if that does happen? You, as the Bears franchise, you can't take that risk. You know what I mean? Because, like, say, okay, we've seen 3 years of Justin, but, like, what if we don't? What if we do what you just said, right? And Justin still doesn't pan out. You're not going to find Caleb Williams next year. Who's the best quarterback that we think's coming out? Shador?
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Can you afford to take that risk, knowing what you know about Caleb Williams? Like, now I do think C.J. Stroud has made it extremely difficult to be a rookie coming in as a quarterback because he played phenomenally. But knowing what you know about Caleb Williams, what's been said about him, how he produced at Oklahoma, I won't say how he produced at USC because he put up numbers, but they didn't win. You know what I mean? Can you afford to pass on him? I don't think you can, especially when you're, who's been the best quarterback, in Bears recent memory? Jay Cutler? Come on now. You can't do it.
I mean, I look, even if Justin Fields goes out there, if the Bears were to take Marvin Harrison at 1 and Justin Fields is still mid, then you let him walk, right? Now I got DJ Moore. I got all these weapons now. You can now go get a Kirk Cousins type that's going to be a free agent, and away we go. I don't got to worry about no draft pick at that point because what vet QB that might be available next year is going to look at that roster and say, damn, you got Harrison, Moore, Swift.
But what you still doing? You still losing Justin Fields for nothing. You still losing them for nothing, though. You know what I mean? So, like, I just feel like I don't know if you can sell that. I don't know if you can.
I mean, I think at this point for a franchise that's been mired in, I'll say mediocrity to be nice, but mired in midness more appropriately for at least a decade, I think you got to think outside the box with this move. You have had the number 1 pick 2 years in a row. Mm-hmm. You have lucked into the number 1 pick 2 years in a row, and if you're telling me the most you're going to have from it is a right tackle from Tennessee, and whatever they do at 9 with their own pick, and I guess Caleb Williams, if you're telling me they get another lineman at 9 because the goddamn GM is a former offensive lineman, so he loves taking linemen. So you're telling me I get 2 linemen and Caleb Williams with 3 first-round picks in 2 years? That to me is mid as fuck, man. That's mid as hell to me.
It's the Bears, bro.
Marvin Harrison right there, that could be a not just a game changer, he could be a league changer.
Right. I mean, but look, you traded up to get Mitchell Trubisky. That was a swing and miss. What if you just, like you said, you pass on Caleb Williams, and he is the star that people project him to be?
I see. If you're telling me he's going to be a star, I could live with that. If you're telling me he's going to be Mahomes, I can't live with that. But he was going to be Mahomes.
I think he will eventually become a star. I think that.
But will he be a Mahomes star, or are we looking at a Dak type star?
Mahomes is on a different level, dog.
Agreed.
Mahomes he's on a level.
So his ceiling is what then to you? You've been doing the film, so I'm gonna take your word here. You've been chopping it up. What is Caleb's player comp at the next level if it's not Mahomes?
If it's not Mahomes, I think he's a hybrid player. I think he has Mahomes-like abilities as far as his improvisation, but his decision making is not on Mahomes' level. That's what Mahomes is so good at.
Is it nasty man at his peak?
He can be a Deshaun Watson. He can be close to that. He can be close to it. I
but not
mean,
the same or better.
he's a little bit smaller than Deshaun. Deshaun threw his body around a lot, and it
Mm-hmm.
worked out in
Mm-hmm.
his favor. It worked out in his favor. Caleb not doing that as much, but I think that's a similar game to compare him to. And you telling me you may get Deshaun Watson when he was in Houston? Like, I think you gotta take it.
That's tough. All right, like y'all let us know in the chat if you're watching this live or on the replay in the comment section. Should the Bears take Caleb Williams if they do indeed hang on to the number 1 overall pick? We'll hit the chat real quick. Scrub Zero is active tonight. Always appreciative of that. Always appreciative of people pulling up and hitting the like button on the way in, because the algorithm will do algorithm things when you do that. Let's see what he's definitely tapping in on this Caleb Williams topic. I think the Bears, what they should do is trade the pick, get more to build the house, and Justin Fields. I mean, I'm
I
not
agree.
mad at that either. I'm not
I
mad at that
agree.
either. But to your point, Steph,
I
if
just
you're
don't think they
going
will.
to keep Justin Fields, then
Mm-hmm.
you're having the potential of him being mid and you're losing for nothing. So now you're trading back. So you're walking away from taking Caleb Williams. Now you're looking at maybe Penix, depending how far back you drop. If you
If you
drop
say
back
that
to
you want
3,
to,
then maybe you're looking at a Jaden Daniels. But I mean, we'll get there in your mock. But just off the strength of, if you're the Bears and you do decide to trade back, how far back would you trade back?
if I'm the Bears and I'm trading this number 1 pick, I'm going to look for somebody. The person I'm going to look for is the Minnesota Vikings. I'm like, look, I'll give you this number 1 pick, but
Pick
I need Justin
11
Jefferson.
for those who don't know. Number 11 for
I
the Vikings.
need Justin Jefferson. I'm not giving you this pick without Justin Jefferson. That's the type of trade I'm doing if I'm trading them. Because if you want to surround Justin with weapons, go get Jettis. You need that type of weapon if you want to see, okay, can he be our guy going forward? If you're going to invest in him and surround him with weapons, like DJ Moore was good, but like he ain't no Justin Jefferson. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Right.
that's the type of trade I'm going for. Like Vikings, y'all want this pick? Kirk Cousins gone. Give me Jettis.
Right.
I mean, Jettis might not resign anyway because
Big.
that's what I'm doing there. But I agree with Scrub Zero because I'm investing in the guy. I like Justin Fields, but I just don't think they will. So you want to move on to number 2?
Hang on one second. People are definitely chiming in on this Caleb Williams piece, so
Nope.
let's let them get their shit off. Scrub Zero, I get the sense that whatever QB goes to the Bears in this draft will get ruined by them, and they'll be in the same spot in 2 to 3 years. I mean, that is the Bears' history. As a former supporter of that franchise, that is an accurate description of their history.
For
Scrub
sure.
Zero again. If they hang on to the pick, take Harrison. Okay. And we have someone who would love for the Bears to not take Caleb Williams, and that's Lombardi Leap, Packers fan, pulling up. Appreciate you, Lombardi Leap, tapping in. As a Packers fan, yes, LOL, because of course, I have to face Caleb Williams twice a year if he's really him.
If he's him. And a lot of these guys coming out is a big if, right? Sometimes it doesn't translate, sometimes it does. But like I said, it's the
Right.
Bears. You've been fan them for a long time. I don't
Gotcha.
think they will do the right thing by Justin. I think they're going to take Caleb. I don't think they
All right,
should, but I think they're going to.
Gotcha. All right, so with the second pick, the Washington Commanders are on the clock. Obviously, a lot of upheaval, new coach, Bieniemy's gone as well. So a whole new system, new ownership, magic in the owner suite. What do the Washington Commanders need, and what should they do with the second overall pick?
So the Commanders, their 3 biggest needs: QB, the edge rusher, and the offensive tackle. So I got them taking Jaden Williams I'm sorry, Jaden Daniels with the number 2 pick. Why do I say that?
Jaden
One,
Daniels, okay.
I think Jaden Daniels he's a way better player than Drake May. I mean, just look at the guy. First he passes the eye test. The second thing you have to look at who their offensive coordinator is. Cliff Kingsbury. Look at his track record with QBs and athletic QBs. I mean, Baker Mayfield. Look what he did with Kyler Murray when he was in charge of play call. Imagine what he can do with somebody as athletic as Jaden Daniel, who is a true dual threat. A true dual threat. What, 40 passing touchdowns? What, 11 rushing touchdowns? Over 1,000 yards rushing to LSU? Bro, come on. That's easy for me. That's easy. And then I know people were saying Drake May go over too. I mean, you drafted Sam Howell. I mean, Drake May is better than Sam Howell, but he has a lot of Sam Howell within him. I don't think you can justify drafting another guy from UNC when you have Jaden. If you rank the QBs, I think it's Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels is right there at two. Like you can't justify the need for taking Drake May over Jaden Daniels.
I definitely agree with you. I am not the biggest Drake May guy. Maybe it's because he wore the same uniform as one Mitchell Trubisky.
Jesus
But
Christ.
I think if you're looking at starting the whole thing over, breaking it all down, and again, another roster that has weapons on it in Washington, they got two receivers, they got a tight end, they got a couple of, well, they lost one running back in free agency, but they still
You got
got Robinson there. So
you got
there are
Oklahoma.
some weapons there. Yeah, and as you said, Kingsbury, he's certainly not a head coach. He's
No,
proven
no,
that
no.
he's proved that at every level that he should never be a head coach.
Right.
But
But he's a genius, man.
he
He,
could
he
do
can
some play calling now.
he can call up them players.
He's
Like,
not McVay or Shanahan level or even McDaniels level, but he ain't
no,
that far below them.
he can call up some play. I like the way he does it.
Yeah.
I don't think
So
that was debate there. Is Jaden Daniels.
yeah, I like that pick. I like that pick for the Washington Commanders at 2. Drake
Mm-hmm.
May was thought to be that guy and has been that guy consistently, but with what Jaden Daniels has done, Heisman and all that, how can you deny? Again, I like the size, pause. I like a lot of the skill set. What was it on film for you
Mm-hmm.
outside of you said passing the eye test, but what about the throwing ability? Well, what about the accuracy, pocket presence? What was it about Jaden Daniel that makes you say he is clearly better than Drake May?
You remember when Lamar Jackson was getting drafted and everybody passed on him, and then they
Yes,
came
sir.
to regret it? I see the same thing with Jaden Daniels. I mean, his throwing motion is quick. He gets the ball out. His decision making has improved from his years at Arizona State to his time at LSU. You see the thing is with Jaden Daniels, you see his improvements in his game as he got older and he matured. Now, granted, the COVID year and all that good stuff, he did play, more than 4 years. But hey, that's the time we're living in. I like the way he matured. Everything they say he need to work on. Hey, your pocket presence is kind of shoddy. He worked on that. Hey, you don't have to run the ball every time and you're bailing out too quick. He worked on that. And the way his throwing motion is quick, it's twitchy. That bro, he's a quarterback. And yeah, and remember, when Lamar Jackson was coming out, everybody always said he should switch positions. He should switch positions. Have you heard anybody say that about Jaden Daniels?
No,
I haven't. So
no.
that, come on now.
Does age factor into anything? Are you one of those guys where obviously you see here 23 and a quarter years old? Does age factor as a negative for you, or does that factor as a positive because of the fact that he's quicker to hit in his peak, and that's what you want to maximize on a rookie deal?
It doesn't really matter that much because Joe Burrow was kind of old when he came out. You know what I mean? We
Right.
see what he
There's a bunch of
was.
QBs that have been coming out that have been older.
Right. So I don't. It doesn't bother me that much.
Gotcha. Okay. So, chat, let me know. We got Scrub Zero, who is our Giants guy. He's tapping in. He does not Washington. He does not want Washington to get Daniels. So, and we know why, as Steph just broke
So you
down.
was a good
So,
pick because I don't want to get Daniels either. But hey, they
yeah,
smart. Dan Quinn knows the defense. He knows the Cowboys' weakness, and it's running. And if you know that, hey, bring me Daniels. Especially if you got to see him twice a year. It just makes
gotcha.
sense.
So now, I like to throw hypotheticals out there, right? Because it is draft season. We don't know what's going to happen. There could be a
Mm-hmm.
trade coming up over the next couple of weeks here. Is there a
Mm-hmm.
scenario that what would it take if you're Washington? Is it
Okay.
worth the move up to 1 for Caleb? Or is the difference between Caleb and Jaden negligible? So you're good no matter whether you move up to 1 as long as they're not killing you, but you're more than happy to chill at 2 and take Daniels at that spot. Like how hard would you try to move up to 1 to get Caleb if you were Washington?
I don't think I would if I'm Washington. I don't think it's worth it. One, because Jaden Daniels, even though I think he's a better thrower of the ball than Justin Fields, they're too similar in that way. I mean, and the Bears fans already have a bad taste in their mouth about Justin Fields. Some of them do. I don't think it's worth it for me. I think he fits perfectly what, Cliff Kingsbury tries to do. I mean, if you put Caleb in that, I really just don't like it. I don't like that. Not Caleb in Washington. Just stick with Jaden. Because one, you ain't got to give nothing up. Number two, he's literally falling to you at number two. You keep your draft
Yeah,
capital. You keep all your picks. You keep all your players. Just draft him. I don't think it's worth it, in my opinion.
gotcha. I agree. Let's see. Let's get back here into the order. So now,
Mhm.
fresh off of signing Jacoby Brissett to a 1-year deal, so a
Right,
bridge QB.
right. And this is
Drake
perfect.
Drake May is the consensus third pick, is the consensus third best QB, but in
Right.
your mock draft, is he the actual third pick overall?
I got him. So I got the Patriots need a QB, a tight end, and an offensive tackle. So they're the three biggest needs. And I got them drafting Drake May. Now, it actually works out perfect that Jacoby Brissett just got traded there because I don't think Drake May is ready to come in and start right away. I've said that since, I seen him at UNC. I mean, it was kind of crazy saying that. Like, well, is he going to learn under Mac Jones? That sounded crazy even saying to myself when I was doing this analysis.
Right.
But because they have Jacoby Brissett, it validates what I was thinking all along. Now, you know, if he would have came in with Mac Jones, I think by week 6, Drake May would have been the starter because honestly, Mac Jones hasn't gotten a fair shake. I mean, he's had different offensive coordinators his whole time there.
And he
Even
did
one
go to the
time,
playoffs his rookie year, right? Like
Bill
he
Belichick was
wasn't
calling plays.
trash.
He wasn't trash, but I don't think he's got a fair shake. So I definitely think it was going to be a QB competition with Mac getting the job. But I definitely think, hey, Dre May come in, learn the NFL way, see the game speed, see all that good stuff. Eventually, you're going to be our guy. But you can really say that now with Jacoby Brissett because Jacoby Brissett is a team guy. He's like Josh Dobbs in that way. Jacoby Brissett is not trash. He's
No.
just perpetual bridge QB, kind of
He'll
like
win
what
you
Josh.
some games. And he'll also lose you some games.
Oh, he definitely will. That's why it's a bridge. He's not a permanent answer. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know how you go to the post office and you do a package, they give you a little temporary tape. That's what Jacoby Brissett is. But
Big
eventually, you got to
facts.
buy some real tape. You got to buy some real tape. And I think he's such a professional that Drake May can learn up under him. And you have, new coach Dry Mayo. So like, I just think it just works. Now I had a lot of people I seen a lot of people saying J. McCarthy was going number 3. I don't believe in J. McCarthy, but we'll get into that later. I don't believe in that guy.
So let's go ahead and look at a little bit more of Drake May. So we have here similar height to Jaden Daniels, a
Mm-hmm.
couple of maybe 18 months younger than Jaden Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I just don't see what everyone else kept saying about Drake May. Like obviously the year to come out would have been 2022, but he couldn't.
Good.
But even this year, you're looking at yards per attempt has gone down every year, although we throw out the first year.
Mm-hmm.
It's just for me, it's just hard when I see Drake big pause. Whoa. When I watched film on Drake May, I was never impressed like I was watching a future franchise QB. In my head, I was like, I'm watching a guy that's going to start in the league,
Right.
but I didn't see anything that flashed that was like, oh shit, no, that's special. I didn't see anything like that. Now, I definitely saw that with Jaden Daniels and damn sure saw it with Caleb. But with Drake May, I was just like, yeah, he could start in the league, but I'm
Right.
not mortgaging my future. I'm not jettisoning any type of relevant QB to make room for him. Like, so
Right.
walk me through your pros and cons on Drake May. Like, what if you're the Patriots at 3, what are you selling? Jacoby's here. He's the bridge. But Drake May, you said he needs a year anyway, so you're going to get that year to learn. But what that next year, 2025, what should Patriots fans expect if they do go in there and take Drake May?
So my biggest knock on Drake May was his decision making. As you see, 9 interceptions, not a lot of interceptions, but it was a lot of times he was trying to force the ball into tight spots just to prove that he can do it. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to be Superman all the time, and I think that's what he tried to do a lot at UNC. He's a good football player. Again, his throwing motion is a little sluggish to me, and I think the way he goes through his progressions could use some work. I mean, that's definitely going to be a thing once he gets to the next level because the game is 10 times faster. But
Right.
like you said, I do think he could be a starting QB. I mean, you don't need a game changer at QB. Think about Tom Brady. He wasn't a game changer when he first came into the
Nope.
league. He was
Nope.
an elite game manager. So the only thing you ask him to do is don't lose us the game. That's what you're asking right now. You know what I mean? If you can instill that confidence in him, hey, don't throw off your back foot as much, and let's actually go through our progressions is what you need to do. You can't really say learn the Patriot way because let's be real. Tom Brady was the Patriot way. He took it with him when he left. You know what I mean? But
Right.
you
He was
also
the
saw what
Patriot
Mac
way. Yeah.
Jones, exactly. But you also saw what Mac Jones was able to do at that team, and I think Drake May is better than Mac Jones. So I mean, he can be a starting quarterback. Is he a day one starter? No, I don't think so. But like I said, Jacoby Brissett is a nice guy to come in, to get mentored by, and to watch, study his game. I mean, like I said, he's a pro's pro. He did it when he was at the Browns, even when he knew his job was gone when Deshaun Watson, came off his living game suspension, and he still did everything he could to help that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is the perfect situation for Drake May to be developed. Now, I'm not saying, hey, sit and then the next year he gonna come out and meet Pat Mahomes. Like I said, there's only one of him. But I do think if he sits, they can fill him with the right pieces, get him, in the fundamentals, get a good QB coach. I think he'll be a pretty good QB. That's what I saw.
Okay, so let's check in with the chat. The chat is buzzing. Scrub Zero's going in with his analysis. Tapping in on Jaden Daniels. Daniels will be a clear upgrade for Washington, and I think he's going to be a plus QB in the league. I would like to see the Big Blue Bums to get him, but I don't think he'll be there at the 6th pick. Yeah, I do not see a scenario where Jaden Daniels is still there at 6 when the G-men are there. Let's move on. I'm good sticking at 2 if I'm Washington. No matter what happens, I'm getting a plus QB and won't have to give up anything. That's facts. That's factual. Let's see what we got. Skip Zero, not big on May. I think he needs to sit for a year. I also think he would be better off being picked in the 2nd round so he doesn't have any expectations to lead/save a franchise. I don't see any scenario where that man is sliding that far. Now, I can see a scenario where he slide, but not slide to the 2nd round. I don't see him being this year's Will Levis. Do you see any scenario, Steph, where he becomes this year's Will Levis?
Because even if the Patriots don't take him, I think the Jets will gladly grab him. Like, hey, you need to sit for a year anyway. We plan on Aaron Rodgers playing the whole year. Who better learn under than him?
Right.
If he slip past the Patriots, I don't see him getting past 10, honestly. But I don't think he gonna slide.
All right, so we'll slide on. Keep the comments coming, Scrub Zero. I appreciate you being active. I see we got some folks pulling up in as well. Hit that like button on the way, and if you can, if you'd be so kindly. The Arizona Cardinals.
Okay. So
allegedly, so far they've hung on to Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
They certainly have a need for a weapon.
Mm-hmm. They got
no weapon so far in your mock draft has come off the board. Right. Is this finally the spot where we see a weapon that I feel could even go number 1? Is this now where we see a weapon come off the board? Who do you have the Arizona Cardinals taking, and what are their needs?
3 biggest needs: wide receiver, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, defensive tackle, interior offensive lineman. And like you said, Marvin Harrison Jr., you are a Cardinal. You are a Cardinal. Now, they do need help on the offensive line, but they did take Paris Johnson Jr. first last year. You know what I mean?
Well, he played well too.
He did, and Kyler Murray welcomed him with open arms. Now, it's time for you to go to him and look, I need a bona fide number 1. I need number 1. And like you said, he's, to me, the best prospect, best player in this draft. So, and I heard a lot of people saying, hey, he's only going this high because, his last name is Harrison. And I said to them, I dare you to go look and see where Frank Gore and Jerry Rice's kid is projected to get drafted. If you think Harrison carries more weight in the league than Jerry Rice, you're mistaken. This kid is a baller, bro. If you didn't watch him play, just say that. But don't blame old Uncle Nepotist for this pick. Marvin Harrison is him.
Yeah, he's so special, and that's why I think especially in today's NFL, we always talk about what when it comes to receivers. Got to have the size. The man is 6'3.5", bigger than his
Man,
pops. Pause. The man is out here with good speed. He hasn't done
just
his
be
pro day yet, but we're going to assume it's going to be in that 4.5,
I'm
4.4
thinking
maybe.
sub 4.5. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, so he's going to give you the speed you would expect. He's got the
Mhm.
size. We've seen him go up and go get it. He ain't catching with his body. He's catching with his hands. And he's made tough catches. He can stretch the field vertically. Like, watching his tape, I didn't really have to watch that much because it's just like I know what I'm watching because it's his pops, but a taller, maybe even faster version.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure.
So
And if he don't
I
get
don't
hurt,
see any holes in his game.
no,
And in
no.
today's league, when we talk about the Justin Jeffersons, the Jamar Chases, the AJ Browns, when we're talking about, those types of guys that are now becoming the prototype,
Mhm.
this is one of those prototypes.
That's what you need. That's what you need.
And
That's
that's
a
why
no
the
brainer.
Bears should won. He's the fucking prototype. He's
Not
Caleb
happening, bro.
is. All right, fine. I won't rehash it, but Marvin
Exactly.
Harrison is special. Kyler Murray, you lucked into getting Paris last year to anchor
Mhm.
one side. Now you got a
Yep.
top tier weapon to go out there with. They still got Hollywood Brown, I believe. So the guys, I think do they still have Rondell Moore? I don't know if they still got Rondell Moore,
They
but
still got
they
him,
got some
but
weapons there.
you
But
got number
bringing
one.
in Marvin Harrison opens up the whole offense. And Kyler Murray should be healthy. He looked okay when he came back. Not 100% clearly, but now a full off season. Full reps from day one with
Hmm.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Immediate
They ain't
impact.
going to win a lot of games, but they
Immediate.
damn sure going to be on red zone a lot.
Immediate impact. It's gonna be nasty. It's gonna be nasty.
Was he the easiest prospect for you to watch film on? Like, how how quickly could you assess? Oh, he's clearly the best in his group.
So I watched him in game. You know,
Right.
like we work at. His games was
Mm-hmm.
on a lot. So I didn't even have to watch film. I already knew what I was getting when I saw him. And
Right.
I was thinking, had he not got hurt in that semifinal game 2 years ago, I think they winning.
I
They're winning. He's that much
co-sign.
of a game changer. He's that much of a baller, bro. That was the easiest one by far.
I mean, just and these numbers don't even really tell the story. And you're
Don't
talking
do it.
about someone who's putting up 1,200 yards back-to-back years, and it's light work.
Exactly.
He didn't work
Exactly.
hard for this.
And he wasn't
14
even playing full
tutties,
games half
and
the
he left
time.
some on the board.
He wasn't playing full games half the time. Come on, bro.
Right.
He's him. He's him.
Yeah, he is the best receiver prospect. I don't want to jump all the way out the window, but I feel like I have to. I
Where you
mean,
going?
I think he's the best prospect since Moss at this position. Coming out of college, like week one, I'm him. Week one, I'm already top 5. I haven't
That's
seen someone that looks the part like this since Moss. Fresh out.
I don't know, man. Julio came in hard. Pause. He Julio did make a
He
splash.
came in like I'm top 5 in the league already.
You knew he was there. I would say him and AJ Green, both of them came in and that was the same draft. Both of them came in was like, we're here. But like Sam Moss, I mean, that's some high praise. I mean, I think he's good enough to be that, but you went all the way to Moss.
I mean,
That's if they can
watching
see me,
his film was such a like you said. I watched him in real speed as well, but just going back and rewatching some, it's like, oh my god, like how was he? Why would you ever throw to anybody else? But then you realize it's Ohio State; they have a million number one receivers, so you understand. But it's almost like I'm not saying he's open every single snap, but it's damn near like that.
I mean, he always open. He is only a few people you can say that about.
7-Eleven.
Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CD Lamb, AJ Tyreek Hill, they always open. Marvin Harrison is always open.
Well,
He's always
is Marvin Harrison better right now coming out than Jamar Chase was coming out?
You have to remember that Jamar Chase sat out a full year of playing football.
Yes.
Sat out a full year and still was the most highly touted guy in
Yes.
that draft. He went over a Heisman winner in Devontae Smith. I would think they're right on the same level. They're right there together because you got to think about Jamar Chase was on the same team with Justin Jefferson, and that team was nasty.
And he still
And we
stood out.
seen, and we seen how Justin Jefferson came in, and Jamar Chase still was the best receiver on that team. And for Devontae Smith to win the Heisman that same year, and Jamar Chase didn't touch a football field. Jamar Chase was different, bro. Now Marvin Harrison is different as well, but they run it together for me. They run it together. I can't.
Okay.
They
Scrub Zero tapping in. Arizona better grab Harrison if he's there at 4. That's the easiest pick to make. Yeah, I mean, I damn near am ready to say it's the easiest pick to make at number 1. I'm still riding on that.
If any one of them top 4 teams take him, easy pick, honestly. Easy pick.
All right, so we'll slide down now to number 5.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The Chargers have gone over a lot of different things. Harbaugh in, Staley finally out, Austin Eckler out, unsure about Mike Williams and his health, but they paid Justin Herbert, Jay Herbo the bag. So it's time to show and prove. Whole new system on both sides of the ball. Maybe Khalil Mack is up out of there. What are the LA Chargers going to do with the 5th pick? What are their needs? What ultimately does Jim Harbaugh and crew do with the 5th pick?
Again, so let's start this off by saying this was all made before free agency. We gotta preface that. Their biggest needs 3: CB, RB, and it was defensive tackle. Now I have them taking something that's not one of the 3 biggest needs. It's an offensive tackle. It's J.C. Latham from Alabama. That's what I got them taking right there, number 5.
Explain why.
Now, you do have 3 offensive tackles who easily can go in this spot. You got J.C. Latham from Alabama, you got Joe Alt, and you got Olu out of Penn State. Now, like you said, they paid Justin Herbert. He struggled with getting sacked a lot. What's one thing Harbaugh likes to do? He likes to throw the ball. So, one thing I think he's going to want to do is shore up that offensive line. And J.C. Latham is a dog. Like I said, Joe Alt, J.C. Latham, and Olu, all of them could have went right here at this spot. But the reason I put J.C. Latham is because, let me read my analysis. He's a natural right tackle. He's extremely nimble with his feet. Hip fluidity is great, and he has initial quickness. And his pass pro efficiency is number 2. Guess who's behind? Olu from Penn State. But I didn't put him there because he's a natural tackle, and that's what they need to secure that line to protect Justin Herbert. That's why I got him going there.
Okay, so now J.C. Latham. We'll take a look at him here. I'll pull him up. 6'6", 340. So a big boy.
Yep.
They have him ranked here. Now, again, this site is not the be-all, end-all, but just as an example, they have him as the 4th ranked tackle coming out. So what makes him stand out? You mentioned some of the analysis, but what makes you think he should be the 1st tackle off the board and not like this site has him as the 4th?
Right. So between him, Joe Alt, and Olu, they're all pretty similar. The one thing I liked about J.C. Latham over Joe Alt is his ability to kick out wasn't as great as J.C. Latham's. And like I said, we've already realized that the Chargers is a passing team. Like, that's what they are. They love to pass the ball. So if you can't kick out, then you're not stopping the rush. You're not stopping the pass rush. You know what I mean? And out of those 3 guys, I think one, Olu's the best, then J.C. Latham, and then it's Joe Alt. But what did I say? The reason I put Olu there is because his hand speed is not the best. And what does that lead to? It leads to a lot of reaching. It leads to a lot of holding. So if you're talking, complete prospect, J.C. Latham is the best to me. Off the film I saw.
Gotcha.
Now, you can't go wrong taking any of them. But, Harbaugh likes those big, strong country linemen. That's what he likes.
Yes, he does.
6'3", 40, that's what he is. So, hey.
I like it. I mean, I definitely think there could be a scenario
Mhm.
where if you're trying to shore up that offensive line, because there were times where Herbert was running for his life, right? That offensive line has certainly not been a strength since he's been there. That's not necessarily been a weakness, but it certainly hasn't been a strength. So if you're
Mhm.
Harbaugh, who is old school,
Right.
he plays with the trenches. O-line,
Exactly.
D-line. He's focused on that. I think you can't go wrong here. As you mentioned, any of those three tackles could be the move, even though, as you said, they probably have other needs that could be more glaring, but you're trying to
Mhm.
change the culture. You're trying
Trying
to
to.
install a system. You're trying to give Jay Herbo the most opportunity to prove that he's him. And you do
Mhm.
that by protecting him on the left side or the right side with a tackle. So I
Right.
like your thought process there. I won't go too crazy and push it back on it. I think we're on the same page there where I can see that being a real thing. Now, if that does happen,
Mhm.
the New York Giants have quite the quandary. There's a lot
Mhm.
of weapons on the board.
Right. Right.
There's a lot of linemen on the board.
Mhm.
On the defensive line as well, because now we're starting to get into that bottom half of the type 10. You can make a case for a certain D lineman to slot up in here, but we'll see where your mock goes. But with the sixth pick, Saquon out,
Yep.
Devin Singletary in,
Yep.
Daniel Jones, we not sure. No
Yep.
real weapons on the outside unless you're a big believer in Hyatt. Where do the G-men go with the sixth pick? Team needs, and what do the G-men actually do with the sixth pick?
Needs defensive tackle, running back,
Okay. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
offensive lineman. Now this is made before free agency. Now
Right?
I got them picking somebody who's not a need again. They're getting in my mock draft Rome Odunze from Washington, the wide receiver.
It's a weapon. I like it.
That's who I got going there. Why? Because you just gave Daniel Jones that contract, and you're 1 year in. You're 1 year
Right.
in. So you can't possibly pass on him now. And like I said, it doesn't matter who's throwing the ball. You give him somebody like Rome Odunze, they're going to be better. They're going to be better. If you saw what he was able to do in that Washington offense with Michael Penix, he's to me is the bona fide second best receiver in this draft behind Marvin Harrison Jr. Easy. 6'3", 212. You already got Hyatt there, like you said. He can take the top off of defense. You got Darius Slayton. Only reason I say Darius Slayton because he went to Auburn. I'm a graduate of Auburn, so I got to give him some love.
Right.
But you get Roma Dunze, like, hey, Daniel Jones, we got you another weapon. You know, we're going to shoot up this offensive line in the second round, the third round. You should be good. Now we got to go out and compete for at least the top spot in the NFC East. That's why I got Rome going there.
Now, I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I'll play a contrarian here.
Okay.
How much are we crediting the system in Rome's production?
Not too much because they had two receivers be just as excellent. You know what I mean? If he was the only one, just capitalizing, I'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it's obviously running through him. Kind of like with Marvin Harrison. You're not going to call it a system. He just stood out. Same
Right.
thing with Rome. Even throughout the playoffs, even the last game, like that guy he's a ball hawk. He tacks the ball. He's strong hands. He's fast. Everything about him, I love. I love it. Now, I do think he can work on being a route technician a little bit better. But other than that,
Mm-hmm.
that's my only critique. If you tell me he got strong hands, attack the ball, 6'3", and you can fly down the field, come on now. I love it. Again, as a Cowboy fan, I don't love the fact that we may have to go up against him. But if I'm the Giants, I like, let's go get him now. Give him more weapons. Even if Daniel Jones is not the guy, gets hurt again, tell him to veto. You got more weapons to throw it to.
I think with Rome and Hyatt, it's going to force the Giants at the end of this upcoming year to realize they got to cut bait on Daniel Jones. Because now you're going to have legit weapons around him.
Mm-hmm.
The offensive line is solid. They can certainly address some needs later in the draft.
For sure.
But
For sure.
if Rome is sitting there at 6,
Mm-hmm.
I almost think you have to do it. Now, is
You
there a
have,
case where is there a scenario, maybe system fit or anything like that, where you would maybe go Malik instead of Rome, or is Rome markedly better than Malik? And Malik Neighbors from LSU for those who are unhip.
so he's similar in Rome in a way. His route work is a lot less sloppy than Rome's. That's he's not a great route technician. I think Malik Neighbors is a great receiver. What's my analysis on here? Great leaper, has good speed to get past defenders, doesn't sink hips in routes, and runs too high in spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So as a
I
receiver running
agree.
too high in spaces, that's not great. That's not great. So, I mean, when I have less critique on Rome, like I said, to me, Rome is the second best receiver in this draft. If he's there, I wouldn't be mad at it. But like you said, if Rome is there at 6, I feel like having him and Hyatt there, you almost have to take him. You have to, because then your quarterback has no excuses at this point. You know what I mean? So Malik Neighbors is not a bad choice there. I just like Rome better. That's means apples and oranges. You can't lose with both.
Yeah, I think ultimately you mentioned the Giants' needs, and
Mhm.
while certainly QB could be a move there, is there a scenario? Let's say Drake May slides.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say he doesn't go 3 to the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a scenario where you think maybe you get a little Drake May at 6? If it's Drake May or Rome, and you're
Uh-huh.
the Giants GM at 6, knowing what we all knew, but now really know about Daniel Jones, what are
Okay.
you doing?
That's a hard one because I don't want to say I believe in Daniel Jones. I believe in Daniel Jones with Brian Daboll. Last year was a bad year, but Brian Daboll is a good coach, and I believe he can bring out the full potential of Daniel Jones. We just have to see it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Drake May still has to sit, so and you still have Daniel Jones for what, like 4 more years on that contract.
You don't
I don't
have
really,
to. You don't
you don't
have
have
to.
to.
You don't have to keep him.
You don't have to, but I don't really see many buyers for him right now. So I mean, if he slides the 6, I mean, it's not bad to get him, but you're pretty much putting the time on Daniel Jones now at that point.
I mean, is it the time on him already? Like that contract
Giving
isn't
him that
as
contract,
bad
people
as
are
the
saying,
other contracts. Like
it's
it's
not,
you can
was like
certainly
85
eat
million,
some of
something like
that dead cap money like the Broncos did with Russell Wilson if you have to.
that wasn't the smartest thing to do, though. I don't recommend anybody. I mean, as a fan of the Cowboys, hey, yeah, do that. Eat all your cap space. Don't get no more free agents. But like you just saw, they just signed Brian Burns to this massive contract. They can afford to eat dead space. So I think you get his man some weapons. You try to go for it, and in a few years, if you're not the guy, then you pivot then. But I don't think they have much room for dead space on that cap.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I just wanted to throw it out there. We do have Scrub Zero, who is one of our giant fans who likes to tap in. He don't want no more basketball school QBs.
There you go, UNC out of there.
You know what
But
I'm
like,
saying?
no matter who's throwing the ball with Roma Dunze, you're gonna look good. That's pretty much the basis for this pick.
Right.
No matter who's throwing the ball with Roma Dunze out there, they're bound to be better. Honestly,
Scrub Zero also says, I like Hyatt, but the Giants need another outside wide receiver. We co-sign with that.
for sure.
Giants haven't had a viable X receiver since Hakeem Nicks and Plaxico Burress. That's pulling some names from the past, and that tells you how long it legitimately has been since the
You ain't like
Giants
Victor
have had
Cruz,
some
bro.
legit guys.
You ain't like Victor Cruz.
Victor Cruz, and then obviously you had the OBJ phenomenon, but he wasn't a true X either. So yeah, I agree. I agree.
Rome is the guy.
Yeah. All right. So let's get back to the big board.
Mm-hmm.
We at number 7. Looks like the
Yep.
days of Derrick Henry are gone, as they went out there and already signed Tony Pollard from your Dallas Cowboys. New system. They brought in a new GM last year. They want to get younger. They want to get faster. They want to get more modern. Will Levis needs some weapons. We don't know what's going to happen with DeAndre Hopkins, but we assuming that's a one and done. But they got some young receivers and young tight ends that they've been stockpiling over the last couple of years. So
Right.
does Tennessee try to replace Derrick Henry, although they went out there and got Tony Pollard? Do they focus on the other side of the ball, where they have also taken some significant losses? So team needs for the Titans, and what's the pick at 7?
Team needs offensive tackle, cornerback, and wide receiver. Now, I wanted to go cornerback here, but I got them going offensive tackle, getting Joe Alt from Notre Dame.
Okay.
If you're going to have a second year QB and Will Levis back there throwing the ball, you want a sure pitch protection. Now, Joe Alt has great size and arm length. Like I said earlier, his ability to kick out isn't as elite as JC Latham's is, but he has natural speed, and his ability to get to the second level is amazing. It's amazing. So if they are moving to that, that newer style offense that you talked about earlier with Tony Pollard and the shorter scat back receiver type running back, getting to the second level is huge. Especially you talking about the screen game. So to me, Joe Alt is the perfect fit here. Like once you short the protection for your young QB who's still trying to learn the NFL, who's still trying to learn the game, no matter if it's Will Levis or Malik Willis, you want to show up that protection first. Think about it. What did the Dallas Cowboys do, like 10 years ago when all we did was draft offensive linemen, in the first round for like 7 years? They're the best offensive line in the game for years to come. Tony Romo got the benefit of it. Dak got a little bit of it before they got old. I mean, I
Right.
think that's what a lot of people are starting to move toward. The Chargers with Justin Herbert, the Titans with Will Levis or Malik Willis. So I think that's where they go here. Joe Alt from Notre Dame is the pick.
I think if you're the Titans, you certainly have to do that pick because they went out there and they took Skronsky last year to help fortify the interior of that line. Now you go to the exterior of that line with offensive tackle Joe Alt. But like you
Right.
said earlier in your analysis on JC Latham, the top 3 linemen, you really can't go wrong with any of the 3.
Can't.
So I do like the fact that the Titans walk away with Joe Alt, who arguably could be the best of the bunch. But either way, you're certainly addressing a weakness. And I think that's the point where when you're drafting this high, when you're in that top 10, you have to address a need. Now, whether
For
that
sure.
need is one of your top needs or not, but you have to address a need because you're trying to establish, again, a new coach, new coordinators. GM just got hired last year. He's trying to do a whole culture reset down there in Tennessee. You have
Right.
to fortify the edges. I don't think it's going to be Malik Willis, but even if it is, you damn sure got to get the edges right if you got him back there. But
Right.
especially if it's Will Levis, I think the future is bright in Tennessee, but it's definitely a few years away.
Oh, it's definitely a rebuild. It's a rebuild. Now I
For
feel like
sure.
ain't much more to be said on that one. Now the next one is an interesting pick. It's the Falcons. It's the Falcons.
Now, the Falcons went out there. Obviously, if you're just joining us, thank you for pulling up. But if you're just joining us, the Atlanta Falcons went out there and secured Kirk Cousins as their quarterback. Now, Steph has been able to join me here. We've been breaking down free agency. We're breaking down now the complete first round of this upcoming 2024 NFL draft.
Right.
What did the Falcons do at 8? They were in this spot last year and took Bajan. What do they do running it back again in the number 8 spot in 2024?
Now, again, prior to free agency, their biggest needs was QB, right? Wide receiver, and an edge player. Now, they got Kirk Cousins, which I didn't know at the time, but all good because I didn't have them getting a QB anyway. I got them drafting Dallas Turner, edge, out of Alabama. Now, why? Because Bud Dupree and Calais Campbell may be gone. You have to address that need now. You have to. And who's this new coach? Raheem Morris. And what does he thrive at? Defense. Who's the best player he's coached in recent memory? Aaron Donald. Who did he coach before that? Warren Sapp. So it's one thing this guy knows, it's defensive lineman. Can you imagine what Dallas Turner would be with coaching like Raheem Morris? Come on now. That just think about it. That's nasty, bro. That's nasty.
It is. It is.
Like, let me tell you my analysis. Great first step, quickness, instant pass rush, and an instant starter. That's what I wrote down.
Okay.
That like I said, you have to also keep in mind, like I said at the beginning, Calais Campbell and Bud Dupree may be gone. You have to address that need now. Especially if you didn't go get a Brian Burns, if you're not going to sign a Daniil Hunter, in the free agency from the Vikings, you have to go get this kid now. He's young, quick, explosive, great hands, technique is flawless. He came from Alabama. It's one thing Saban knows is some prospects. So Dallas Turner to the Falcons. That's what I got going at number 8. Address that need right now.
All right, let's go ahead and keep it pushing. Number 9, the Chicago Bears, who, if we're going by the mock draft, stayed pat at number 1, took Caleb Williams, addressed one need that you mentioned. At the 9th pick, they got 2 more needs left. Do they address one of those 2 needs with their second first-round pick? What did the Bears do at 9?
You draft Malik Neighbors from LSU.
So
Now,
they do address one of the other needs. Okay.
Now, I was hesitant here because I wanted to go Olu, but what's the one critique we had about the Bears? Quarterback play and lack of weapons. Now, if you get Caleb Williams, you're giving him DJ Moore, you give him Cole Kmet, you might as well get him another bona fide receiver and Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors, the way he changes his speed inside the routes, strong hands, great leapers, great leaper. I did say that. The only thing I said is needs route schooling. Not as physical as Jamar Chase or as skilled as Justin Jefferson, but has flashes of both of them in his game. That was my critique on him.
I like that analysis, and I'll give you this one little thing with him going to Chicago. Everything you just described sounds like DJ Moore coming out. So who better to learn routes from than someone who had to improve his route running his damn self coming in DJ Moore. So I like that fit a lot.
And if you're telling me you get a splash of Jamar and a splash of Jettas, I'm taking that. And even you said, like, hey, why not Malik Neighbors to the Giants? I mean, so if you're getting him at 9 and you thought he was going, to the Giants, I mean, this is a steal, right?
In theory. Now, if it wasn't Malik, if for whatever reason the Bears say, you know what, his skill set reminds us a little bit too similar in size to their target, and Rome is off the board, and they don't want Malik, potentially, who would be the next receiver that you would do if you were the Bears?
His teammate that's at number 4 right there, Brian Thomas Jr. 6'3", runs a 4.3 40. You got to take him.
Gotcha.
You got to take him. If you're saying you want a bigger body receiver who can get down the field, this man 6'3", running a 4.3, that's scary. That's scary.
Yeah.
And where did Caleb come from? USC. He loves to throw the ball deep. That is a scary sight. Him running down that field at 4.3.
And I think if I'm Chicago, I would prefer a bigger body target because I think DJ Moore kind of gives you that. He's not small, but he gives you that 6 foot, get in and out of routes fast, can occasionally go deep. I think the Bears, to help Justin Fields more, or whoever the QB is, need a bigger prototype. If you're not going to go Marvin Harrison, then give me somebody who's of that same size. And I think right here with Thomas, as you said, 6'3", 200 pounds, and the 4.3 is off the charts.
Yeah.
Especially for that size. Like, I think people need to understand that. That's 4.3 at 6'3". This ain't Tyreek at 5'9", 5'10". No. This is running a 4.3 at 6'3".
Great ball tracker.
Putting pads on that boy?
And one thing I would say about Brian Thomas, like, he got straight line speed. He's a great ball tracker. He's physical, attacks the ball. The only thing is when he's not getting the ball, he don't sell his routes good enough. It's kind of he taking breaks. It's the only critique on him.
Well, and the Bears got all that type of experience with Chase Claypool last year.
Oh my! Don't.
So maybe Thomas isn't the guy either. Like if I'm the Bears, I got I'm seeing deja vu. If I'm because you are right. I did see that when I watched the film.
Mm-hmm.
He does loaf.
He
Call it
does low.
what it is. He does loaf. And
He
if
not
I'm the
getting.
Bears, I just got rid of. I had to go. I had to go beg the Dolphins to take Chase Claypool off my hands last year. I don't want
Pretty much.
nothing like that coming back into Hallis Hall. That's on that same type of time. So you might have
Right.
to go Malik Neighbors because ain't no quit in Malik Neighbors. Ain't
Oh
no
no no.
loafing in Malik Neighbors. I will say that.
Even when he had Keyshawn Boutte or Booty, whatever his name is, the year before, and he knew Booty was the number one receiver, he gave you 110. He gave you
Yes.
110. That's why I like
Yes.
Malik Neighbors.
Scrub Zero likes the pick of Dallas Turner to the Falcons, so giving props to Stefan Sheffield, who's my guest here on Timeline T, 4-letter network, holding it down, giving us his analysis, not just throwing names at a wall or not copying other folks' mock drafts and claiming it's his. He's been really in the lab. He's been
Got
studying the film. He's been doing the player comps. He's been watching schemes, checking out roster movements, et cetera, et cetera. He's running down his first round of the mock draft. So I want folks to be clear. This ain't your average. This is someone who really is about this life and is really out here giving you the real deal analysis. And I'm here to give him a platform and to let y'all see that he's really talking his shit and he knows what he's talking about. All right. Rounding out the top 10, the New York Jets certainly
Right.
have needs, also have expectations, though. Aaron Rodgers spinning the block allegedly for one more year, maybe 2, 3, or 4,
Right.
depending on what holistic doctor he go to. What do the Jets do? What's their needs? And ultimately, what do you think they should do with the 10th pick?
So Jets needs at 10: offensive tackle, wide receiver, and a safety. I got them taking Olu Fashanu out of Penn State, offensive tackle. Why? Mekhi Becton was not great for this team. Aaron Rodgers got hurt on the fourth play of the game. He's an old man. One thing we want to do is protect this man with some good pass blockers. Now, what is my analysis of Olu? Actually, like I said, between the top 4 tackles, any of them could have went at 5. You know what I mean? If you get any of these guys this low, you're winning. Now, Olu, lateral quickness. We know that because why? Aaron Rodgers loves to scramble out. He loves to do his rollouts. That's his patented move, right? Scramble left, throw. He has lateral quickness. He sinks his hips. He does lack leverage at time, but that can be coached. What else I say? During play action, he's great because of the lateral quickness and the quick sets. So that means the way he shifts his feet when he is moving laterally. You know what I mean? I don't know how familiar y'all are with offensive play, but when they're doing their sets, is how you shuffle 1, 2. The speed in which he sets, the speeds in which he can gather himself, the way he can recover off play action is elite. Out of all the top 4 offensive tackles, he has the best pass rush efficiency. So at 98.9. So he hardly gets beat. He's raw, but he's still explosive. And he's an extreme upgrade to this Jets offensive line who needs all the help they can get.
Huge upgrade. Tremendous upgrade. Are you worried? I'll just put it out here. They do have a red, which is the negative here about the hand size.
Yep,
Do
that's
you
what I
care
said.
at all? You know,
Go ahead.
do you see anything there in regards to being able to get that grab, working that edge, turning? Like, is there any potential drawbacks to have it? I mean, look, 8.5 size hands is still big as hell for a normal person, but for someone that is 6'6", 312, I mean, that's like Steph Curry hands, 8.5. Like, that doesn't kind of fit. So, walk me through how the hand size could affect a lineman of this stature.
I wouldn't have a problem with the hands if his placement was better.
Gotcha.
So, and a lot of times, like I said, he is quick, but when being quick, he kind of just throws his hands out there, which can get you caught a lot of times with the holding. Now, in every play, offensive lineman is holding, but what's important, well, you place your hands. So even though he has small hands, if he can grab onto you, It's over with. He can drive you any way he wants you to go.
Right.
So I don't really have a problem with the size of his hands, but if he can work on the placement of them, because he does draw a lot of penalties, and the one thing their right tackle did a lot for the Jets was draw a lot of penalties. It was him and Jawan Taylor for the Chiefs. Every time I watched them play, it was a penalty every other play with them, and that's one thing you cannot have. So if you do take him with this pick, you have to make sure he's disciplined. Look, we don't need penalties. You're athletic, you're explosive, you're quick. Just get your hands up and you will be fine. That's really my only knock as far as the hands. It doesn't really matter how little his hands is. If he gets you, you're not going anywhere. So I don't really have a problem with small hands. Now, he's not a quarterback. The hands not as important, but I don't have a problem with it here.
I will break in with some interesting news. It's not official, anything like that, but there's interest on both sides between the Ravens and King Henry. Interest on both sides. Now, this is per Josina Anderson, another one of those ones, by the way. So she has legitimate sources in this league. Derrick Henry and the Ravens potentially. Let's get the live reaction. Steph, what do you think?
That would be the greatest rushing attack to hit the league. That is its own thunder. That is his own thunder and lightning.
Facts.
That is his own. The fit, I don't like it as much, but hey, if you got Derrick Henry, you gonna get him the ball. You give him the ball. I mean, that's like what do we say about Derrick Henry? The one thing that doesn't affect him is wear and tear, right?
Right.
And what's the common theme with Ravens running backs? They get hurt. Yep. You get one who don't get hurt for real, and who gonna give you 1,000 yards? Think about it. When he missed, what was that? 2 years ago, when he missed like 8 games, he still finished 9th in rushing.
Right.
With over 1,000 yards. He missed 8 games and still finished. That's when Jonathan Taylor had his big year. He still finished 9th. He missed 5 weeks and was still the leading rusher in the league. After missing 5 weeks. Him with the Ravens? Come on.
I don't see any other need. If I'm really going to keep it a buck, I don't see no other need for that roster, for that offense. I could argue another receiver for sure, but I would prefer Derrick Henry than going out here and trying to go get another free agent wide receiver.
That if they got Derrick Henry, you can't use them in Madden. You can't.
Yeah, it's illegal. It's illegal. Banned.
You're pretty much telling us, Kansas City Chiefs, we coming. We going all in.
You have to. And that's why I like, hopefully it comes to fruition. And this channel has become a Baltimore Ravens haven of the fans coming in because I've been very pro Lamar in his contract dispute last year. But I think if you're going to make an upgrade, I don't think there's a receiver that they can get unless they trade up in the draft. I don't think there's a free agent wide receiver that they could get, or even a free wide receiver that they could trade for that can make the type of impact like how King Henry can make the type of impact at running back. I think you have to do this. Whatever money he wants, just go do it.
This is a home run. It would only piss Cowboys did not do enough.
Do you think he would pick the Cowboys over the Ravens if the bread was the same? Which I know is hard in Texas because of the state tax, but assuming the bread is somewhat equivalent, do you think he would pick Dallas over the Ravens? So hard. That one's hard for me to believe.
That's a hard ask. Knowing the type of pressure and charisma that comes with being a Cowboys player, and I get to play with Lamar Jackson, I'm taking the Ravens. You got to.
Scrub Zero puts in hashtag cheat codes. Yeah.
There are some players that if you have the chance to play with them, you just play with them. Michael Vick, Randy Moss, T.O., all the Patrick Mahomes today.
For sure.
Lamar Jackson. You're a receiver, Joe Burrow. These are the players you want to play with. If you're a defensive lineman, Aaron Donald. If I had to pick between the Cowboys and Ravens, I'm going to the Ravens. One, because you don't deal with everything the Cowboys players deal with. You don't have to deal with an owner like Jerry Jones, and you know you got a superstar next to you. Don't get me wrong, I love that. I think that's a star. But Lamar, what Cam said, game changer.
I mean that's
That,
such a
that's a
thinking
polarizing
of
move.
Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Zay Flowers. We don't know what's going to happen with OBJ. I think they move on.
If you got them going by my mock draft, they will be fine.
That's a good tease.
They will be fine.
So, assuming they get a weapon towards the bottom of the first round to replace OBJ, to fit in there with Zay Flowers, Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews, I'll even throw in Bateman in there. And then he handed the ball off to King Henry. So now on 3rd and short, on 3rd and 3, it could either be Lamar on the keeper or King Henry behind that massive offensive line.
And you still got Keaton Mitchell, who's a change of pace back. Now,
correct.
I love
straight burner.
I loved him coming out. ECU Powers worked a lot of his games 2 years ago. I loved him, and you saw what happened. He got the ball. That boy had 5 straight games of one. If he come back healthy and you got Derrick here, man, that's nasty work. It's nasty work. Home run signing.
Hopefully they get it done. Hopefully they don't trick it off. And Scrubzio taps in on the question we had: Lamar or Dak? I'm playing on the same team with Lamar. Co-sign that one.
Hey, that's not fair. He's a Giants fan. He's a Giants fan. We can't take it well on that one. He's a Giants fan.
All right, so I just want to make sure we do touch on that, because that was something I saw coming down the timeline, and that's why you tap into Timeline T. Not only are we giving you hardcore analysis, mixed in with some humor, mixed in with some entertainment, and mixed in with the free agency, but we're also checking the timeline and making sure we're not missing anything as y'all pull up to this live stream. So again, appreciate the folks tapping in. Hit that like button if you would so please. Now we move on further into the top 10. Number 11, the now Kirk Cousin-less Minnesota Vikings. Team needs, what do they do at 11?
Team needs QB, edge rusher, offensive guard. Now, I got them taking Jared Verse out of Florida State, edge rusher. He is, when you got Daniil Hunter going to free agency and you're losing 2 other edge rushers in free agency, you have to go Jared Verse here. Now, if you watch this film, this dude is aggressive. He's a sack master. He has a great first step. He runs a 4.5. Hey, this man can run. 6'4", 4.5. Now, I get it. Like, as far as an edge rusher, he doesn't have the best size. He's not ideal size. Let me say that. He has good size. It's not ideal. I mean, especially when you think about the Myles Garretts of the world. You think about Jadeveon Clowney. Think about all these guys. But Jared Verse, I think, is a home run hitter here. If you're losing Daniil Hunter, you have to go get another guy who can beat him in a year or two.
So here's my thoughts on Verse. I liked what I saw, clearly, right? My only, I guess, caveat is against the run, I wasn't impressed.
Right.
He seemed to be sack hunting, which is fine. You're coming off the edge, so that's your job. However, we've seen it with guys like Khalil Mack, where they get sack happy and that's all they want to do, and then you start running right at them and they got nothing for you. Or Chase Young, same type of deal. Or even the Bosa's, same type of deal, where they get sack happy and that's all they want to do. So, are any concerns about Verse against the run?
Yes, there are concerns. There are some concerns.
Okay.
There are. One, because I said the size is not ideal. He likes to use his speed as an advantage. When he bends the corner, he bends it tight, which can be dangerous when you're talking about RPO.
That boy to death.
Boy, it's gonna be. Well, that's nasty. I would tell you no. Oh, you would? Yeah, me too. Me too. So like, and the one thing I saw with Jared Verse is he's in the ACC, and them dudes not as big as SEC, Big Ten. You know what I mean? As far as the line
Mm-hmm.
goes, one thing I did notice a lot is one strong punch can throw him off his track a lot.
Mm.
So, I mean, you have to know when to rush and when to be an edge and when to be a defensive end, if that makes sense. Like, hey, third down, 3rd and 8, pin your ears back, go get them. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's your team. You are an edge rusher, but hey, we need to. I mean, it's Mike Flores. He's aggressive by nature anyway. So what? One thing he gonna do is blitz. So he gonna try to get everybody in those 3rd and long situations, 3rd and 12 or whatever. So I mean, going to the Minnesota Vikings with Mike Flores, who's already aggressive, I think he fits in perfectly. But I mean, if you want to use him first, like with just packages, hey, 3rd down package, put him in the game. I think that also works to his advantage.
Okay, so again, your mock draft was done this past weekend before
Mm-hmm.
free agency opened. Free agency
Right.
has since opened. Kirk Cousins is now a Falcon with the
Right.
11th pick. Is there a scenario where you see them maybe going QB here instead of edge rusher and Jared Verse?
Yes. If
Who would that QB be?
had I
We
known what I
thinking
know,
McCarthy here? We thinking Penix?
so
Bo
let's
Nix?
let's flip this to the Broncos as well, right? So the Broncos, I got them taking QB D. They 3 needs is QB D tackle and tight end. I got them taking Penix there. Now, if
Okay.
I'm Minnesota and Penix is on the board, I'm grabbing him. I'm grabbing
Okay.
him because I can possibly sell that to Justin Jefferson. All right, Jettas, look, we got Penix coming in. He's a little bit older. You know, he played like 5 years. The one big knock on Michael Penix was what he got hurt a lot. But I would challenge you and say, since he's been at Washington, he's yet to miss a game. He's yet to miss a game. So, you know, he throws the ball downfield with velocity, flicks the wrist, get it downfield quickly. What else I say? He's great pre-snap at sensing pressure. He's not great outside the pocket, but hey, not everyone's not. But I think he's the most mature quarterback in this draft. I think he'll be a great fit for the Vikings if you're trying to sell that to Jettas. Now I got them going to the Broncos. With the next pick, I don't like McCarthy at all. I don't think McCarthy's a bad pick. I don't think he's a bad player. I just think he's sluggish through progressions. You know, arm motion is a little bit slow. Decision making could be better. I wasn't blown away with him.
Okay.
And then I worked the national championship game, but he had 80 yards, man.
Right. Right.
Eh,
Can't do it.
eh. I'm not. Maybe I don't see what everybody else sees, but I like Penix there for the Vikings or the Broncos.
Yeah, I think now the Vikings have to look at quarterback, I think. But to your point, I'm not touching Bo Nix. I'm not touching JJ McCarthy at 11 or 12 for that matter. And my issue with Penix, right? And I think me and you spoke about this offline last week.
Mm-hmm.
I like, and I'll bring up the Cam Newton analogy. You got your game changers and your game managers.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Penix at times had stats like a game changer, watching him on film, all I saw was a game manager. Now, at the 11th or 12th pick, that's not bad. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're coming from a scenario where you had Kirk Cousins, who is a high-level game manager, and you're the Broncos where you're coming off of someone who you thought was going to be a high-level game manager but wasn't, and Russell Wilson, to just take a guy whose ceiling is probably below both those guys, that's a hard sell for me at 11 or 12.
So, in watching Michael Penix play, it was. I mean, you could get elite game managerism from him, but it was the moments for me. You know what I
Okay.
mean? The moment they needed him to make the hard play, he made them. The moment they needed him to play bigger than the problems around him, oh, it's pressure. The moment they needed him mature and be the guy, he stepped up. I didn't see him fold. I didn't see. Okay, it does help when you have Ron over there, but
Damn
I,
sure does.
I
Yeah.
saw him. I saw the maturity, right? Even when he was at Indiana, I mean, he got hurt a lot there, so you really can't speak to that. But like I said, when I saw him step up and be the guy, and he had to be the guy, he stepped up. So that's why I'm like you said, they kind of have to get a quarterback here, like because who else is there? You gonna go get Desmond Ritter? No, you're not. Like if the Steelers let Kenny Pickett walk, you gonna get him? No. Like
Mason
what do
Rudolph.
you stop it? What are you selling here? Like I feel like he's the guy I'd be most comfortable taking because like he one thing he gonna do is throw that ball, and the Vikings have ample amount of weapons. They just drafted one last year. Then you got the Broncos. Well, the Broncos are a different story. That's a different story. That's a different story. But
Yeah,
I did
I
have him thinking.
yeah, I think, both those teams obviously are in need for quarterback. It remains to be seen if they'll take quarterbacks back to back there. I think if you're a team like the Bears per se at 9 and you want to trade back, I think you try to get one of those teams in the mix and see if you can entice them to trade up to get one of those quarterbacks to, what I'm saying, to try to, gas them up a little bit. Even if I'm
Right.
Atlanta, I consider that because I think Atlanta needs a lot more help than just what they potentially could get at 8. But okay, so we have 11 and 12. Are we
Mm-hmm.
going to go with a third straight team potentially in the mix for a QB with the Las Vegas Raiders at 13? Shout out to Antonio Pierce, Scrub Zero, Big Blue again. But the Raiders, obviously another franchise in flux,
Mm-hmm.
came on strong in the last half of the season. Aiden O'Connell, I won't say looked the part, but gave you enough to think that maybe there could be something there. They lose Josh Jacobs. They don't have a replacement for him yet. What do the Vegas Raiders do at 13? Team needs and all.
Again, this is the one team I think that messed up my mouth the most with the free agency. Again, I got to remind
Okay.
everybody this draft was made last Thursday. So their biggest needs I had was QB, interior offensive lineman, and a defensive tackle. Now we know they just signed Wilkins today, which kind of makes this pick look kind of crazy. But I got them taking Byron Murphy the second out of Texas. That's what I had. But now,
Okay. Right.
Wilkins today signing him to what, a 4-year deal. I
4-year
can
deal,
see
big money.
big money. I can see how that pick can kind of change now. Now they didn't do that. I was kind of on the head. They did need a defensive tackle, but getting him now, you're in that splurge area. Do we need to splurge or do we need to address some more needs? And I think now they can address other needs. But I did have them getting Byron Murphy the second for Texas.
Okay, so now that they do not have,
Mm-hmm.
now that they do have a defensive lineman,
Right.
where do you think they go now? Well, what was the second team need?
It was interior offensive lineman. So I would have them getting Talise Fuaga from Oregon State. You need somebody to protect whoever's going to be throwing the ball, and y'all are terrible at doing that. So that's why I had them going. Well, that's why I would have them going had they not got Wilkins.
Gotcha.
And so now, since we brought him up, I actually got him going to the Saints in the 14th pick because he was there.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So
To at
let's
least
let's let's let, let's start to run down these picks as we get closer and closer to get towards the bottom of the first round. So you had the
right
Saints going lineman. What were the team needs you have for the Saints?
tackle, guard, and edge. All their needs are on the line on both sides. Now, Talise
Gotcha.
Fuaga, I see he was the third. I think he was third rated offensive lineman tackle. He has overwhelming strength. He glides into the pass sets with controlled hips and active hands. The one game that stood out to me that really told me this guy was a baller is when Oregon State played UCLA. He went up against Latu.
Mm-hmm.
Man, he's very fluid when changing direction, and I like him at guard. I like him more at guard than I do tackle. Now he has starts at both. He has starts at both, so that's why I got the Saints getting him now because one of the biggest needs is offensive tackle and offensive guard. So if you want to switch him, you have that ability to do that.
Okay. So if I'm the Saints,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to navigate. There's a lot of things there, right? Obviously, they have their QB. No matter what we think about him in Derek Carr, they still have Kamara. They have a ton of weapons on offense. The defense, the secondary is strong. D line might be getting a little long in the tooth there. So there's a lot of things you could go here. But I do agree with you about the interior line or just the line in general, both sides of the ball. Is there anyone D lineman that you think could be an option here? You want them to go interior offensive line, and I agree. But is there anyone on the D line that's not an edge that could be a potential option here?
So,
Because Cam Hayward can't play forever. Not
that's
Cam
true.
Hayward, Cameron Jordan, excuse me, can't play forever.
If we're talking a Cameron Jordan protege, I like that dude, Newton. Man, I think I told you to watch film on him. From what, Illinois?
Yes.
Johnny Newton, man. That kid is explosive, bro. Yep, right there. Go back up. Keep going.
Yeah, Newton, right? Yeah.
Bro, explosive. Quick hands, is a ball magnet. Now, the size may be a little concerning, but hey, he uses his speed to beat all the offensive linemen. So if I'm not going to least Wog here, I'm definitely looking at this kid. And who better to learn from than Cam Jordan? Because he can play both. He can go to inside or he can go outside. And that's the good thing about him. He has looks at both. So that's why he's kind of a hard one to judge because he does have reps at both.
I like that. I think in today's league, if you could be versatile like that from especially from that position, I think that just makes you even more valuable. So I like that. I actually like, obviously you gave me some names and I watched up his film as well, and that's how I was kind of leading you towards getting here. Right. I like him not only as a Cam Jordan protege, but I actually think at this level, he has the type of push and the ability to get off the blocks. Like, he's very good in getting the hands off of him. I think he could be a guy that can go get some sacks in the league from that position. And that's not something that's automatic from an interior D line spot. Like, I was very impressed with his push. He's got a good jump off the snap, and he de-engages linemen very well, and I was very impressed with that.
And I think that's the key. It's not just, hey, I'm gonna speed rush and just try to run past him. He's active with his hand movements. And like I said, the explosion jumps off the screen at you. Yeah, he's want somebody who failed to the second round in this mock draft just because of where I had all the needs pre-free agency. But if we have to do it over and say the Saints need a defensive lineman, I'm definitely going him here.
I love it. Scrub Zero tapping in. He's talking Penix. I think Penix is the third best QB in this draft. I would like him in Minnesota, but I get the sense he's going to fall to the second round, unfortunately. I would love to be wrong about that, though. That's interesting. The third best QB in this draft. Now, you did have Drake May, but you said there is a considerable drop from 2 to 3.
Oh, for sure.
Comparing Drake May and Penix, you don't got to do a deep dive, but just quick little comparison between the two, your likes and your dislikes.
I think the way Penix processes the game is faster. The way he goes through his reads is faster too because he's older. He's seen more ball than Drake May. Also, I told you, the way when he flick his wrist, it's going 50 yards. Even though he does throw it, I mean, he's a lefty and he has an awkward throwing motion. The awkward throwing motion has never bothered me. I mean, you get the ball out. It's similar to like Lonzo's 3-point shooting motion. If you get the ball, if they go in, they go in, right?
It don't matter, yeah.
And the one thing about Michael Penix, he can put that ball anywhere on the field. And even when he's throwing a deep ball, he keeps the velocity on it. I love that. I can't say that about Drake May. Like I said, his processing is slower. He's a little sluggish in the motion. I mean, he's a good QB, but
like
I do have Drake May going over Penix. I know it seems like based on that analysis, I should have it the other way around. Just knowing how the Patriots look at QBs and what they think, like
for sure.
Drake May is a better fit for the Patriots.
The Indianapolis Colts at 15 as we are nearing halfway through the
Now
first
this
round of
one,
the NFL draft. Go
this one
ahead.
gonna get you. It's gonna get you
Okay.
because I got their needs as D tackle, wide receiver, in the edge. Plot twist:
Okay.
they're not getting any one of those positions.
Okay.
I got them getting Brock Bowers, tight end, out of UGA.
Okay. Okay.
You. I mean,
He's a weapon.
of course, their defensive backfield needs some work, but they had 2 rookies at corner, so let's allow their game to grow as they grow
Right.
in the league. So that's one thing. And you need offensive playmakers. You need them. I mean, he got control of route running. He gets to top speed quickly. He got good lean. He can lean on defenders, and his acceleration is top notch. I mean, only thing people like to compare him to George Kittle, but if you're gonna compare him to George Kittle, he has to sustain his run blocks just a little bit better.
Yeah, he's not
Other
on that run blocking level like George Kittle.
But if you're talking about, I mean, because Anthony Richardson is essentially a rookie quarterback again. He didn't play long. So what's the best friend to a rookie QB?
Tight
It's a
end.
tight end. For Dak Prescott, he had Jason Witten for a short amount of time. Lamar Jackson, he had Mark Andrews. You know, I'm sure we can go find CJ Stroud, even fed Dalton Schultz a little bit as a safety blanket. You know what I mean? So for me, I mean, Brock Purdy, he even had George Kittle. So Anthony Richardson, I mean, you got Michael Pittman back. What, did they franchise tag him? I think they did.
Yeah, I think he's coming back. He's coming back.
Yeah, he coming back. So you got Michael Pittman coming back. I mean, you got Alec Pierce. You got Jonathan Taylor.
Pierce is
Why?
good. Yeah.
I mean, Mo Alley Cox, be for real. You might as well go get Brock
Right.
Bowers. If he was there and you want to help this young QB out, go get him. That was a fun pick for me. I just with him there at 15, you gotta get him. You gotta.
Again, and we're speaking on like how we talked about some of those receivers and why teams have to get certain types of receivers because that's where the game is going. Tight ends not only are in vogue, tight ends and having a top tier tight end or potential top tier tight end, it's a must
Oh,
to exist in today's NFL. You have to have,
man.
and you can't just have a compiler. You can't just have a dude that can block. You need a dynamic tight end. There ain't no more button hooks. You gotta be able to do them seam routes. You gotta do them deep crossers. You gotta do them rubs, like position. And I think Brock Bowers here is a stealth pick. If they're able to get this off, I see a lot of Firemouth in him, which is no shade because I like Firemouth a lot. But
He's a little more dynamic. As somebody who he went to Georgia, I went to Auburn, so of course he burnt that school up a lot at my expense. But as somebody who watched him, like I said, the way he gets into his routes, the way he can hit his top speed is wide receiver like this. He's a true threat,
Sure.
Like I'm not saying Pat Fryermuth's not, but I see a little bit more Dalton Kincaid.
He can stretch the field. Okay, I like that. I'm not mad at that.
So
yeah,
I mean, I think this is a
can stretch the field better than Firemouth. But for me, that run block pass catch combination is where I'm like, okay, he's very good at both. He's not one of those tight ends where, well, he's more of a pass catcher than a blocker, or well, he's more of a run blocker than the pass. He has that good balance, like a Firemouth.
For sure.
All right, so I do like that pick. Scrub Zero tapping in. Bowers with Pittman and Pierce featuring Richardson and Taylor sounds like the play to make. That might be another type of cheat code in Madden. I don't know if I want to see that. I don't know if I just want somebody picking up the sticks and using that.
You don't want it. You don't want it. And that's why you got to do it. But, hey, it's a good thing Arthur Smith ain't there because he'll say, we're not trying to win nobody Madden or
it's a good thing. Arthur Smith needs to be blackballed from the league.
For sure.
Seattle at 16. We officially are at the halfway point of the first round of Seattle. A lot of changes. Pete Carroll out.
Man, this one was kind of
there.
It's kind of tough.
Defensive needs.
A lot of them.
All 3 levels of that defense. Bobby Wagner out. Jamal Adams out. There's a
Andre
lot
Diggs
of
out.
stuff on that defense, but that offense, there's also some holes there. So a lot of spots, but top 3 needs for the Seattle Seahawks. And what do you think
Top,
they should do at 16?
top 3 needs: linebacker, and interior offensive lineman, and D tackle. Now
Okay.
this one was a little tough because, like you said, Quandre Diggs is gone.
Him
Jamal
too.
Adams
Yep.
is
Yep.
gone. And Will Dissly's gone.
Bill
But
Disley.
they've
Yep.
already come out and said that, hey, Gino's our quarterback. Gino's our guy. We want to ride with him. We want to protect him. So I got them taking Troy Fatanu out of Washington, the offensive guard. That's who I got.
So now,
I mean,
I like the pick, right? Obviously, monsterish, 6'4", 317. Watching film on him, similar to Marvin Harrison, where it was just easy to just be like,
right.
oh yeah, he is a top tier at what he does type. Same thing with Troy here. What about his skill set from that position where he's a swing? Because you see it
Right.
here, offensive tackle, and he could play as a
Right.
swing type of old lineman.
He's a must-take.
How do you think he's? Where do you? I'll two-part question. Where is his best position, or what is his best position? Pause. And if you're Seattle, how would you use him at the next level?
So as you see, he is a swing. I mean, let's also keep in mind he's 317 and ran a 5 flat.
Nasty.
Let's just ponder that for a minute. So the athleticism is there. You know what I'm saying? 317 run a 5 flat, bro. Jameis Winston ran a 5 flat, 499, 5 flat, whatever. So, I mean, this dude he's a monster. He has active hands, stays in front of the rusher, and he keeps his weight back to avoid kind of off balance and protection. So, like, I think I would use him at a guard spot because what's one thing they like to do with Kenneth? They like to do those toss plays. I'm getting him out.
Right.
Come out. Go tackle linebacker. Like I said, he run a 5 flat. So he getting out in front of the running backs. He can slide. He's explosive. He can get to the second level. So honestly, even if you do have some injuries along that line, he's able to play not only guard, but he can move to either tackle side. So I think he's a Swiss Army knife, which is why he's the number 1 rated interior offensive lineman. But
Yeah,
I'm using him at guard. I'm using him at guard. You got
Using him
to
at
get.
guard, okay. Okay. I like him a lot. He flashed a lot from that position. I agree. Guard is the desired position. I would play him at this level. But as you said, he could certainly fill in on a pinch. You can do a lot of pulling stuff with him.
That's man.
I mean, you could line him up as a third tight end on some jumbo packages. Like you could do so much just because of his athleticism. His athleticism allows him to be used. Like I wouldn't be surprised if you see him some packages where he's catching passes out on short yardage. Like why not put him on the goal line?
Right. Think about when
If he's running the 5 flat, and you see the broad jump here, you see the vert. 33 inches, I'll round up, 33 inches on the vert at 6'4", 317. Put him in a little rub route.
Hey, they won't expect it. Kind of highlight the Lions did the Cowboys, but they called it back because they didn't. Dan skip it in report. I'm standing by. But yeah, I like that's a steal there. It's a steal.
Jacksonville Jaguars. Shout out to Chris Berman, co-worker. At 17. What does Duval do? What are their needs? I mean, certainly we can address, I think the bulk of their needs are defense. Certainly can talk about the O-line. But what are the needs for the Jacksonville Jaguars? And what do they do at pick 17?
So again, I got them taking somebody who's not a top 3 need, but their top 3 needs are edge, offensive guard, and defensive tackle. Now here, I got them getting their 4th need. I got them getting Terrion Arnold out of Alabama, the cornerback. That's what I got them taking.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. They have 2 cornerbacks gone and 1 more on his final deal. So this is a pressing need. Now I did go back and forth between him and Quinyon Mitchell. I like both of their games a lot. I like both of them. Thing is, there are two different cornerbacks. So you really have to know one cornerbacks. You have to know the game to properly assess both of these guys. Now,
Right.
Terrion, he's great in press coverage. He's an in-phase cornerback. What is an in-phase cornerback? For those who don't know, that is somebody who plays even with the receiver. So that means he
Mm-hmm.
can see the outside number of the receiver if he's running with them. Think of Trevon Diggs. He plays in phase. Jalen Ramsey plays out of phase, so he's not even. So he plays the ball instead of the receiver. That makes sense. So
Yep.
only thing I have on him is he needs to wrap up better. I mean, he's a cornerback. I mean, what cornerback likes to
Yeah,
tackle? Let's be
that's
honest.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but he does work through blockers very well, and he has great ball skills.
Okay. Okay.
So I got him. That's the first cornerback off the board, and I got him going. I did go back and forth a lot, but I like him.
That's interesting because we had a couple of corners go high last year. I think we had
Mm-hmm.
two DBs in the top 10 last year, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
something close to that. And now this year, according to your mock draft, the bottom half of the first round, we finally see
17.
our first DB. Interesting.
Right. Yep.
All right. So we go from the Jacksonville Jaguars at 17 going secondary.
Yep.
Cincinnati Bengals, who have a lot of question marks. Joe Mixon appears to be on his way out. They give the franchise tag to T. Higgins. No long-term extension yet.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow battled through injuries. That offensive line was supposed to be upgraded with Orlando Brown.
Exactly.
Didn't really look like an improved offensive line. What do
Exactly.
the Bengals do with their team needs, and how do they address those team needs with the 18th pick?
Three biggest needs: wide receiver, offensive tackle, defensive tackle. I got them
Okay.
taking Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU, wide receiver. Now I get it. We got Jamar Chase, also an LSU guy.
Uh-huh.
But you got to remember, Tyler Boyd's on his way out. T.
Yep.
Higgins, a long-term deal was not there. It's a franchise tag, correct?
Franchise tag. They're allegedly negotiating a long-term extension, but if you know the Bengals and their cheap owner, unlikely to happen.
Right. So you got three Tigers. You got T. Higgins, Clemson. You got Jamar Chase, LSU, and Brian Thomas Jr., LSU. Now let's look at this. He's 6'3" with a 4.3 40. Straight line speed, great ball tracker, can run down overthrows due to length. He has average run after catch. And like I said earlier, he kind of loafs when he's not getting the ball, which can happen a lot when you got Jamar Chase on your team.
Big
And you
facts.
also have T. Higgins. So that's just going to come down to discipline and coaching. Hey, look, I got three dudes on my team who can be legitimate number ones. You're not going to get the ball all the time, but I still need you to run the route because if you're loafing, you can actually tip off the defenders. So that's probably the only knock on him. Don't loaf when you're not getting the ball. And I get
Yeah,
it. They do need offensive line help. They do need defensive tackle help, but they also need wide receiver help with Tyler Boyd gone.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at T. Higgins, you're assuming they're unlikely to get a long-term deal done. You mentioned Tyler Boyd being on the way out. Now you're just looking at Burrow and Joe Mixon's on the way out as well. So you're talking about a whole, and Samaje Perine left last year. So that whole core of the Bengals is looking to be all but gone. Like it's literally just going to be Burrow and Chase
Right.
potentially by this time next year. So to your point, why not get ahead of it? Now, we did mention potentially Brian Thomas being taken earlier.
Right.
Is there another fit here? Maybe a man's from Texas. Is Mitchell a fit here if for some reason Brian Thomas is off the board, or is there another receiver you think would be a better fit?
I do like Adonai Mitchell here. The reason I went with Brian Thomas is because of the length and
Right.
the speed. Adonai Mitchell has the same thing. He's 6'2.5" versus 6'3", but he also runs a 4.3 40. So you getting the same thing with him. Honestly, I mean, if I didn't have Brian Thomas Jr. there, I am going there. I mean, my comparison for Adonai Mitchell is George Pickens.
That is
That's
impressive.
He can break tackles. He can shift speed like nobody business. Sudden change of a direction. Like that's a baller right there.
Shout out to Scrub Zero, still hanging in, contributing about CBs today. And that's why Stefan is here, because he's one of those. He does the film study. He knows what he's talking about. And I only bring people on here that know what the hell they're talking about. We're not out here just trying to get a hot take off. We're not out here trying to go viral for saying the thing. We're actually talking real ball. We're talking real analysis. We're talking actual scenarios and exchanging information here. And that's what I aim to do here on this channel, is to bring people on who know what they're talking about that I feel deserve platforms. And Stefan is one of those. All right. So, 19 Rams. McVay, he lucked into Puka Nacua. Cooper Kupp came back. Stafford looked to bounce back from injuries. Aaron Donald is still Aaron Donald. I don't know if there's anything else along that defense, but you still got Aaron Donald for how many more years, we don't know. But what are the Rams' needs, and what should they do at pick 19? They also lost Leonard Floyd today in free agency. So what
got that young kid that they kind of got to not replace Aaron Donald, but to learn on him. He kind of rejuvenated Aaron Donald a little bit. Like those two work well together. But I got the three biggest needs right here for the Rams: is cornerback, edge, and linebacker. Now I told you I went back and forth with this guy Terrion Arnold. I got them getting Quinyon Mitchell, quarterback out of Toledo. That they need a cornerback. They need help in the secondary. Now this dude here, he's built like a running back. 6 feet, 190. I'm thinking Duke Johnson that played in Miami. He liked that. He liked that. Now, like I told you about Terrion Arnold, he's the opposite. He's an out of phase QB. He thrives in zone coverage. Now, the Rams do like to run a lot of off man, which he needs to do better with that. I mean, he's very physical. He's a great run supporter. His route anticipation can be a lot better, which is why he thrives in zone when he doesn't have to mirror the routes. But he has great closing speed. I mean, you see it, 6 feet, 4.3 40. So, between him and Arnold, definitely the best two DBs in the game. I mean, and he plays similar to Jalen Ramsey. They have
and that's
similar.
Saying a lot. Like that. I want folks to understand that's high praise. You can't just throw that comparison out there, but understand Stefan has done the tape study. He's done the analysis. If he's saying that's a Jalen Ramsey type corner or type capabilities, it's factual. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. That's the type of veracity and ball skills he plays like. Like he may not get a lot of interceptions, but it ain't gonna be a lot of catching on him. Like I said, if he can work on developing his route anticipation, which is hard as a cornerback, that's the hardest position to play, in my opinion, because you're going to get some of the best athletes on the field. You don't know what's happening. But
and you're reacting. Yep.
You're reacting. This kid is he gonna in this league. He gonna be talked about.
All right, let's see what we got here. I like that pick, by the way. I was also impressed watching his film. I think the Jalen Ramsey comp kind of confirms. I didn't see Jalen Ramsey, but when you said Jalen Ramsey, I was like, oh yeah, that's what I was missing. Because I was trying to think of who he reminded me of, or the way he attacks not only the ball, but attacks the receivers. Like he's not afraid to mix it up. And I think that's important from that position. As you said, it's one of the hardest, if not the hardest position to play, because it's all reaction. You're guessing, and you have to be able to quickly adjust. And he's very good with his hands, and he knows how to fight at the line of scrimmage. Like, I'm not saying he's going to jam you, again, but he's not necessarily going to let you get off the line of scrimmage easy.
Exactly.
And I was very much impressed with that. All right.
He will be good. Trust.
Number 20. Now Pittsburgh Steelers, led by Mr. Unlimited, Russell Wilson.
Sierra husband. That's what I'm referring to him as.
Mr. Sierra. What do the Pittsburgh Steelers do? That defense It has a lot of names on it, but those names aren't always in there when you want them to in crunch time.
That's true.
Offense, we don't know what's going to happen with Deontay Johnson. Allegedly on the block. Maybe with Mr. Unlimited, maybe he's able to save himself. Maybe. What do the Steelers' team needs are, and what do you think they do at 20?
Needs cornerback, offensive tackle, interior offensive lineman. Now, I know they have a lot of needs as you addressed. Again, this pre-free agencies. I have them. It's not a sexy pick. Not a sexy pick. But I got them taking Jackson Powers Johnson, the center from. Now, keep in mind, they haven't had competent center play since the Pouncey twin retired.
Yep.
They haven't had competent play there. Now, Kenny Pickett's he doesn't knock my socks off, pause, but it doesn't help when you're running for your life. And if you think Kenny Pickett looks bad running for his life, what do you think Russell Wilson is going to look like?
Ain't no mobility left in Russ.
Yeah, and they got to remember they cut the starter from last year, so this kid will instantly come in and have an impact. Instantly. Not only do you not have his replacement, you don't even have the starter who was there last year. So yes, you have all these other needs, but that's the most pressing because how the QB gonna get the ball?
Right.
Now, that to me, this was another no-brainer. I don't see them going out in free agency to get a center. Centers really don't need teams like that. Not good ones. So you see Jason Kelsey was with the Eagles for 1,000 years, and then he just retired. So you gotta draft your guy, develop him. And I say that's gonna be one of the prospects in this draft who has instant impact from day one.
I like that pick. 21, the Miami Dolphins.
Now this is another.
Yeah.
There you go. Another one. That's not a sexy pick. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, a team that had high expectations. They dropped 70 in the game. It was all about the high-powered offense, et cetera. And then the injuries killed them down the stretch. And then their weaknesses got magnified in the playoffs.
Right.
I'm still not a believer in Tua. They lose Wilkins in free agency today. Tyreek Hill keeps saying he's going to retire when his contract is done, which is after next year.
Right.
What are the Dolphins team needs, and what do they do at 21?
3 needs: interior offensive lineman, safety, and wide receiver. Now, I kind of preface this by saying it's not a sexy pick. I have 2 centers going back to back. They're getting Graham Barton out of Duke.
Gotcha.
Now, what is one thing Tua struggled with before last year? Injuries, getting hit, knowing how to fall. Now, this guy out of Duke, I watched his film and I was impressed with him. He has clean pass sets. He runs his feet after being engaged, broad base with twitchy hands. His arms are short, but who cares? If he gets his hands on you, you're pretty much done. And the only thing I have a problem with is he lunges once he gets to the second level. I noticed that a lot. He lunges a lot. So if he can learn to keep his feet and drive once he's there at the second level, I think he'll be solid.
I won't lie to you. I have not done a lot of film on him, so I'll lean on you on this one. Is there? I see here that they have him as a swing. Does he have swing potential here? Pause.
He does, but I don't like him as much as a tackle, considering that lunge factor. You got to think about it. If he's a center, he's getting to a second level. It's usually going to be a combo block. Hey, we're doubling down, and then I'm working my way up to a linebacker.
Gotcha.
Versus in a tackle, depending on the teams you're playing, they're playing in a 3-4. You're always going to have to be working to that second level doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's why I don't like him as a swing. And like I said, his pass sets are great, and he runs his feet a lot when engaging. Who's going to get contact every play? It's the center. So put him where he's best at. There was film of him playing tackle. I wasn't too impressed with that side, and I think he'll thrive there.
We have some more information on Derrick Henry and the Ravens. The Ravens have made an offer in the range of $6.5 million per year. Now, I want y'all to understand.
This is where I'm dramatic.
Good, because Saquon's out here signing for $9 million. That's bloated with a whole bunch of incentives that could get it to $15 million per. Derrick Henry was just making 14, 15, 16 M's over the last few years as a premier running back. Whether he was the best running back, but as certainly a premier running back. Now, the Titans are tired of paying him top tier money. They let him go. And now the Ravens, who were one offensive drive away from getting to the Super Bowl, can now let J.K. Dobbins walk because he's always hurt.
Always.
And scoop up King Henry in the range of $6.5 million per year. The NFLPA, I mean, I will stand on it to the day I'm up out of here. The worst union in all of sports. How does King Henry get paid only $6.5 million? Again, allegedly, there's nothing in writing yet, but the rumors starting to come hot and heavy. What do you got, Steph?
I don't know, man. CJ McCollum and Grant Williams, they are terrible.
They're bad in a different way, and we'll certainly tap into that at some point for sure. They're not that much better.
They're terrible.
But I think rounding out the bottomest of the bottom, it has to be the NFLPA.
Oh, for sure. 6.5. You know what that tells me? Derrick Henry, you are a Dallas Cowboy. You are a Dallas Cowboy.
You think Jerry's going to try to outbid him? Going to try to overpay? I mean, it's not even overpay, but I mean, you know what I'm saying.
6.5. We at least throw him 10. We at least throw him 10. Come on, bro.
I don't know. I mean, why throw him 10? If this information is getting out, he just made 15 last year. Now you're discussing contract in the range of 6.5? Then that tells me if I'm trying to overpay, I ain't going no more than 8.
But I'm sure we'll do that. If he's like, come on, bro, 6.5.
If the Ravens are only offering 6.5, Jerry pulls up and calls and says, "I got 8 for you down here in Dallas, no state taxes."
Come on.
But if you're Derrick Henry and you want to win, and like win, not just win and be in the playoffs and maybe you're out of there after a round or two, but if you're trying to win.
Oh no.
I know. I'm just saying, if you're trying to win.
You're talking about the Ravens. How far? I mean, what? Come on now, because there's a lot of arguments that Dak should have got the MVP. That's number one. Number two,
that's fine. Regular season.
They haven't made a Super Bowl either. So
no, they haven't.
But
I mean, they were certainly a lot closer. No, I mean, they were certainly closer.
They were.
And I think if you're putting money on the team to run it back to at least the championship game, I gotta go with the Ravens over a team in Dallas that still has to go through San Fran, still has to go through the Eagles in their own division.
I mean,
and who knows how the Packers gonna look with Josh Jacobs? Like, it's some squads now in the NFC. I think the AFC, you're still just looking at Jordan in Kansas City.
But if you trying to get your bread and win, no state taxes.
But it ain't really his bread though. 10 mil ain't really the bread. If I just had 15 and I played well, it ain't like I was mid last year. Let's go ahead.
So I mean,
I'll pull up his stats real quick. Go ahead.
I'm going for the money, and it's not like, you know.
I just gave you 1,100 yards last year.
For sure, he gonna crack that 10,000 club.
Oh, speaking of that's light, yeah, and probably 100 touchdowns.
Exactly. Like, this ain't the Cardinals talking. It's the Cowboys. The Cowboys won 12 games over the last 3.
Led the league in rushing attempts last year.
Yeah, so
still,
it's not like the Cowboys are scrubs now. I mean, I'm probably.
I ain't saying that, but I'm just saying if you're telling me Lamar is hitting me up, Roquan is hitting me up, Maybe OBJ stays. I got OBJ hitting my line after he's smashing Kim.
So okay, let's do that then. Let's do that. Only place you got me there is Lamar. But if you saying OBJ versus
And
CD,
ain't that the most important position to be better at?
OBJ versus CD, Roquan versus Micah,
That's fine. Well,
Roquan versus Micah. Come on now, that's two different type of linebackers, so you can't even compare. But come on,
I
and
think it might be a little bit closer
no state
than
taxes.
most would think.
No state taxes. You gotta keep that in
Now,
mind.
if you're selling no state taxes, if you're selling, hey, we'll pay you more and we got no state taxes. But again, if you're Derrick Henry,
Derrick Henry from Florida played college at Alabama and was drafted to Tennessee. That man don't know about no code.
like they have had some cold games in Tennessee. Not snow and shit like that. I know. I understand. I'm just saying.
Come on.
Let me see
I'm
his
just
contract.
saying.
How much?
Yeah,
Where is his contract?
6.5. If Jerry go get him 8, I don't see why he wouldn't take it. That's not even speaking as a fan. No, I get it. Getting a chance to play with Lamar, I'll take that any day. But if I'm getting a chance to play with a Cowboy team who's not bad, they're overly criticized. That's number one. And I'm getting more money and no state taxes.
Now, and that's one thing. Is he ready for that pressure? Because Derrick Henry's kind of he's a low-key cat. Now you put that star on the helmet.
I mean, that man played for Nick Saban, cuz.
Yes, understood. But Saban makes sure it's about him first and then the players. That ain't gonna be the case in Dallas. You know that. It ain't gonna be about it's Mike McCarthy and then no. It's gonna be about him and Dak, CD, Micah, all of them.
No matter what happens, ain't bad happen. If anything good happens, it's gonna be everybody.
Not if that boy out there fumbling, stumbling, bumbling.
Hey, if he doing that, maybe we don't need him anyway. Now it's cat we need him. We definitely need him.
Let me see what's going on with these contract numbers, because he's
still a top tier running back in my eyes.
Yeah, he's still a top tier running back, and he's been getting paid like one. The fact that
he should be.
Let me see. Let me zoom out a little bit. These career earnings. All right, so the last few years, he's made 10-23. He made only $10 million last year. 14.5 the year before that. Another 10.5. So that contract that I think was like 60-something million broke down into 15, 10.5, 14.5, and 10.5. So they staggered the deal to where the average was probably more 13-ish.
Right.
12, 13-ish.
Right around the tag.
Right. Now you're cutting that literally in half to be a Raven? That's a hard sell for me, bro. That's a hard sell.
He needs Kirk Cousins' agent.
All the running backs do.
You need Kirk Cousins.
All the running backs should hold out until Kirk Cousins' agent decides to represent all of them in mass.
The thing is with that holdout thing, like I said earlier, like all the running backs are getting picked up now. They're getting decent contracts. They're pretty good contracts. But last year was a bad year to do that, especially like when only 2 of them really had good years. You know what I'm saying? Jonathan Taylor missed 4 games, not his fault. Tony Pollard had a down year. Josh Jacobs kind of had a down year. Aaron Jones was hurt a lot of the season. So you're really looking at Saquon and CMC to carry that. But
and we see it here. It is official. Joe Mixon is being released by the Cincinnati Bengals. So now the Bengals are. I mean, if they didn't give Burrow that bag, and here's why they released Joe Mixon, because they signed Zach Moss, who was carrying the load really well after Jonathan Taylor was holding out. Now he cashes out, gets a 2-year deal, $8 million to go to the Bengals. So the Bengals have lost Samaje Perine last year, and they have released Joe Mixon this year, and they're assuming number 1 back is going to be Zach Moss.
That's nasty.
No shade, but that ain't doing it for me.
You know what that reminds me of? When the Vikings released Dalvin Cook and said, you know what, we're going to be good with Alexander Madison.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was nasty behavior. Like, I don't know what you saw in Alexander Madison, but I had him on fantasy, and he was terrible. He was terrible. He averaged
Yeah.
less yards than Trent Richardson, and
And that
Trent Richardson, and
oof,
that's saying something.
that really
Trent,
is. That
Trent
really is
Richardson
saying
couldn't
something.
do.
That is horrible.
That's saying something. He was terrible. And don't get me wrong, Zach Moss did carry the load for Jonathan Taylor when he was out, but that ain't doing it for me. That ain't doing it for me.
Scrub Zero tapping in. The NFLPA are sorry. SMH shaking my head. Yep, they are the worst in all the sports.
Yeah.
Scrub Zero. Jerry ain't throwing Derrick Henry no 10 million. He too cheap for that. I don't know if he's too cheap for that. I just don't think he's going to overpay to that extent now that the information is being leaked allegedly that Derrick Henry's looking for a contract, or at least is talking with the Ravens about a contract in the $6.5 million range.
I mean that being released that is that much hurt Derrick Henry, I think, because I don't think 10 million is overpaying him, especially if he's getting 14 last year.
Right.
That's just me.
And Scrub Zero for context, John Harbaugh is 1-4 in the championship round, like Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's a good stat. It's a good stat. And if they would have had Derrick Henry any one of those years, I don't think they're 1-4. And I think that's why you have to do it. Like, even if I'm the Ravens,
If we keep it in the buck, if Lamar played to his strength and not try to be what people said, like if he bought into the narrative, oh, he's just a runner, and did that during the Chiefs, they would have won that game. It's like he tried to prove so much that he can beat them from the pocket that it was a
Right.
detriment to the team. Like, bro.
And also, they only called 11 run plays. Like, your OC, Monken's got to help him out there, too.
Yeah, Monkey. Like, bro, you got to be better. And Lamar, like, there was times where no one was open. You could have ran and you pad the rock, trying to be the passer that they say you're not. Bro, forget the narrative. When you're back against the wall, do what you're best at.
Right.
Do what you're best at. Go be the game changer that you are. And I think that's where he failed, honestly.
Scrub Zero, Alexander Madison is just a guy, and when you run behind a bad old line, it really shows. Yeah, he was just mid. He was mid. He had some flashes. He had the dreads. He kind of reminded me of Dalvin Cook, but he wasn't no damn Dalvin Cook.
I mean, it's also bad when Dalvin Cook had 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons.
Right.
I mean, they really had no reason to release him. Was this signing with the Jets? Who did I have the Jets taking? I had them taking the offensive line.
He had to take an O-line. So they go 2-year deal with John Simpson. 2 years, up to $18 million, some more funny money there. I don't think that's that big of a deal that should alter your draft selection, to be quite honest. He's an upgrade, but the problem is the Jets had 2 bad tackles.
They did.
So
for sure.
If you sign one in free agency, that still means you need one more.
We still in great shape with this mock draft.
Yeah. And let's see, where did we leave off in the mock?
We left off on 21 with the Dolphins. So now we're on 22.
22, which is the Eagles. Howie Roseman, who has found ways to pull rabbits out of his hat.
Bro, somebody got to
the last couple of years.
We got to investigate this man. There's no way he keeps getting away with this. We got to investigate at some point.
He's basically using Georgia as a minor league system. I mean, it's a breeding ground for him. Exactly. They lose Swift, but they get Saquon. We're not sure what other moves they're going to do, but we would assume they're going to be interior offensive line with the retirement of Kelsey.
Mm-hmm.
And you would like to think they might be trying to fortify their secondary, because the secondary definitely has taken some hits in just free agency losses and just inadequate play over the last couple of years. So team needs for a roster that a couple of years ago was top tier, maybe not so much now. Team needs for the Eagles, and what should they do at 22?
Team needs 5 days ago was running back. They got Saquon. Wide receiver and cornerback. Again, this is before Fletcher Cox. This is before Jason Kelsey. This is before all of this. So keep that in mind when I say this. I have them taking Nate Wiggins, the cornerback from Clemson. That's who I got. One, like you said, their secondary play was atrocious this past offseason. Good for me because CeeDee Lamb 8 and 8. Mm-hmm. Well, what do we know about this guy? He's 6'1", and runs a 4.28. Good frame. He is small, 173, but he has a nice frame where he can fill out. I see that. He has fluid hips, make great lateral transitions, and he has incredible recovery speed, as you can see, 4.28, with a smooth back pedal and athletic enough to cover the entire field in cover three. Now, he's 173, so obviously his run support is going to be lacking, like most cornerbacks. And he gives a little bit too much cushion when he is playing off man. So there are some concerns there, but he's still a solid cornerback. He's the third best, in my opinion, behind Terrion Arnold out of Alabama, out of Quinshawn Mitchell out of Clemson. But 6'1", 4.28, can cover the entire field. He is lackadaisical cornerback play in the past few years.
Yeah, I'll be quick on this so we can move on. But the one knock on him, you alluded to it. He depends way too much on that 4.2 speed.
Oh, for sure.
And I don't like that at this level. To me, he screams zone corner. I wouldn't trust him in man. Yeah, I just the one knock on him from the film I watched was I don't see lockdown here. I see a guy that can play well in a spot.
Right.
To me,
He
he's
also
more
can
of
be
a
a great
zone corner. And Roseman historically doesn't really draft corners, but I think the need is such a need with the losses they've suffered in free agency. He might have to go against his own philosophy. We'll see what happens. Scriptio
keep it
tapping
moving.
in the accursed Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, y'all want them to be cursed, but not when Howie's there. But we'll
Hell
see
no.
what they do at, what was that, 22?
Yep. The next week the Texans via the Browns.
Yep. So I won't go too crazy in the preamble. We know about the Houstons. We learned a lot about them last year and them moving and shaking towards the top of the draft. Great season. D'Amico Ryans, he's him, coach of the year. CJ Stroud, they hit on that pick. And Will Anderson right after that. So they hit on back-to-back picks. And they're set up to be really good for a really long time. Number 23 overall, one of the nasty man picks. Team needs. What did they do at 23?
Offensive tackle, defensive tackle, cornerback. There's the three needs. As you and I talked off screen about them, they really have a good roster. There aren't glaring needs for them, but I also have another cornerback coming off the board. That's Kool-Aid McKinstry. Shout out 205, hometown, out of Alabama. This is the biggest gap on the roster, right next to running back and offensive tackle. He has, assuming they don't get L'Jarius Sneed from the Chiefs. I'm assuming they don't get him.
Okay.
If they do, this will stiff my draft considerably. But Kool-Aid has high IQ, plays with poise, very patient when tracking deep throws, quick acceleration, can close quickly. He does sleep on plays when he's not targeted, like a lot of DBs. It's more glaring with him. But other than that, he's a solid QB. He's great in the return game, so he can be a special teams guy. He can be a slot corner. He's that nimble where he can move around. So, I mean, you do have what's the buddy from LSU they got? Derek Stingley. He had a breakout year. So pairing Stingley with Kool-Aid could be interesting. I like the way assuming they don't get L'Jarius Sneed. Now they do get L'Jarius Sneed, you can still draft Kool-Aid and put him in a slot. But if you want to go need there, you can also just draft offensive tackle. So I mean they got defensive tackle needs, of course. I mean, but you got Will Anderson who's anchoring all of that. If you want to get a better tight end for CJ Stroud, you can do that. I wouldn't do that in the first round, but as it stands today, as of Thursday, I got them drafted Kool-Aid McKinstry because that's the most glaring need they have right now. And they got the cap space, so it's not unbecoming that they won't get L'Jarius Sneed because obviously offer more than the Chiefs. But hey, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Are you concerned about his size? Like his height?
Kool-Aid size?
Yeah.
5'11" is, I mean, it's like average cornerback today. I mean, if you want him to be a little bigger, I mean, that is a legitimate concern, especially if they go against, the Mike Evans of the world, even Drake London, who's not as a great of a receiver as Mike Evans, but he is a big guy. Traylon Burke, DK Metcalf. You do have big receivers in the league,
That's
but
all I'm saying.
he is an athlete. You know what I'm saying? And he did play in the SEC. I know there may be some people out here who don't like the SEC, but they usually are bigger, stronger, and faster in the SEC and Big Ten. Big Ten there. But I'm not really too concerned about it because you can slide him into that slot position to where he is guarding, you know, a Hollywood Brown or something like that. Like he doesn't always have to play on the outside. He can because he's shown it and he did it well at Alabama. He has a similar game ish to Trayvon Diggs coming out. Now I will admit I was wrong about Trayvon Diggs coming out. Trayvon Diggs coming out of Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
He surprised me a lot. But Kool-Aid has a lot of him in his game. So I can definitely see he has the ball skills of a receiver. I'll say that. So that can be an interesting pick for the Texans.
I want them to flourish. So if D'Amico thinks Kool-Aid is the pick there, I'm not mad at it. I think it's a pick that in his system where it's a lot of zone. It's a lot of matchup zone. So I think that could be a good system fit there. Whereas to me, just on paper, have a little bit of a reservation, but off of how they killed the draft last year, I'll give them that grace if they decide to go in that direction. So let's slide on down to your team, the Dallas Cowboys at 24. Clearly, no free agent moves to alter your pick here. You haven't done shit yet. So I won't even do the whole preamble. The floor is yours. ISO on you, the 24th pick, Dallas Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys need some help. We need a leader of men. We need our owner to pass away and let somebody come in to take over a team. Probably shouldn't say that, but it's just true. We have a businessman running the team who wants everything to be about him. If he didn't fire Jimmy Johnson in the 90s, we could have been the Patriots before the Patriots. Now, I know that has nothing to do with this draft. I just wanted to get that off my chest. Now, with the 24th pick, they need an offensive tackle, of course. We need a running back, of course, and we need a center. So I have us taking Amarius Mims out of UGA, the offensive tackle. Why? Well, Tyron Smith, Hall of Famer, rest in peace. He's not dead. He's just not a Cowboy anymore. He is going to walk into the Hall of Fame one day. He just hasn't been available. The best ability is availability. He has not played for us. I would have loved for him to stay on the roster, the coach of the young guys, including Tyler Smith. But hey, obviously he still wants to play. He still wants his money, and maybe somebody pick him up. Maybe the Bengals. I don't know. But I like Amarius Mims here. One, because he's just as big as Tyron Smith. He's rarely beaten on rush because he's just that athletic. I mean, he played at UGA. Let's think about all the monsters UGA have put into the league over the past few years. The only thing that should temper my expectation about this kid is he's only had 8 starts. Now, it's not a whole lot of experience. It's not a lot. But I'm willing to take those 8 games and say, you know what? You have a myriad of players here who are great. Tyler Smith being one of them. Zach Martin being the man that he is class personified. You know what I mean? He's walking to the Hall of Fame as well. Learn under them. You may be experienced, but you are an athlete, and we can 6'8", 340. Come on. He's raw. He's a raw prospect, but I believe with the right coaching under the right leaders, he can definitely replace Tyron Smith. And that's who I got us taking. Also, he can play left and right. Left tackle and right tackle, and with extremely high ceiling. So that's who I got us taking. It's not a sexy pick, but hey, we seen the pick right when it comes to the offensive line. And that's the Cowboys spiel.
Script Zero is asking you a question. Do you like Tyler Smith more at guard or tackle?
I liked him when he was filling in for Tyron Smith. That I think he was a great fill-in. I think he was amazing there. I do like him more at guard. Obviously, Zach Martin, because Zach Martin has more career tackles than career holdings. So if you can solidify that interior part, I think we're amazing. So I do like him at offensive guard, but if we have to drop the offensive guard and keep him at tackle, I'm not mad at that either. That's a great question.
Yeah, I certainly think that the offensive line needs to be addressed. It's something that I normally have. My cousin normally pulls up. Corey, he's a big-time Dallas guy as well, and he's been bemoaning that same point that the offensive line isn't as good as it once was, and there needs to be improvement there. So if he was here, he would be very much co-signing the fact of going with Mims out of Georgia at that line position. All right, so we're getting him down towards the bottom of this first round. Pick 25. Green Bay has made a lot of splashy moves already. Josh Jacobs in, Aaron Jones out.
Yep.
What do the Packers do? Impressive season from Jordan Love. Impressive season from the whole squad as they kind of snuck up on everybody towards that back half of the season. Pick number 25. Team needs. What's the pick at 25?
So 3 needs: safety, offensive tackle, and cornerback. And I also should have brought up earlier that Aaron Rodgers guy, David Bakhtiari, he's out.
Yes, Bakhtiari is also out. Yep, you're right.
So he may sign with the Jets, knowing Aaron Rodgers.
That would make sense.
But I have these guys getting the unicorn himself, the anomaly. White cornerback Cooper DeJean out of Iowa.
Let's go. Let's
Yes,
go. I
sir.
was waiting to see when he was gonna fall here, but okay, I like it. Go ahead.
Despite his complexion, he is a solid cornerback. He's 6 feet, 204 pounds, built like a safety. He's an explosive athlete. He's an instinctive zone defender. He has the ball skills of a receiver, and he's also a big hitter. He's going to be great on special teams for a team. He's going to be the gunner on punt. He's going to be on kickoff. He does have hip tightness, and his moves are linear versus fluid. So, when you think linear is side to side, but fluid, the flipping of the hips, like some people. So he does struggle to open his hips and find sudden acceleration against press. So although he is a pretty good cornerback, he was like the best cornerback in the Big Ten when he was there in Iowa. There are some knocks. So I do believe he will thrive on special teams, but I do think he could be a great slot corner for the Packers. Shout out Cooper DeJean. You got one.
Bruh, I am so happy we are here now because Jason Sehorn can now relax. We have finally found another one. And this ain't no fluke. Like,
oh no, he's good.
He's like good. Like legit good, and he's a legit burner.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's got wheels. Like this ain't like Sehorn didn't really he had the wheels before he got injured on that punt return. Mm-hmm. But like I think this is an evolution of Jason Sehorn. Like this ain't he plays like Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, he the CMC of cornerbacks.
Yeah,
of white
big
backs.
facts.
He's the best, but of white people, they got their other guy. Yeah, CMC doesn't have to be the only good DB on the all-white team, as they would put it. As Rashad Mendenhall doesn't want this guy to get drafted because he's a pretty good cornerback. Now he is also dynamic in the return game.
For sure. He's a weapon. He could be a dual threat.
Oh, for sure. He is an athlete.
He can go 2 ways. Pause.
So don't be surprised if you see him in some packages. But I saw his film. I mean, when you think of Iowa, you only think of Caitlin Clark, but they got another one. This dude pretty good. They can push out some tight ends, but they push out a good cornerback this year.
For sure. Yeah, tight end U now might be white DB U. Like he's I mean, bruh. Like it's so weird because you keep waiting to see him get burnt, and you see dudes trying to burn him because they don't believe it.
They don't believe it.
They read the scouting report. They're like, he can't be. No, he is. He is.
You know what's crazy? When you see him line up against you, it's like that dude from Memphis with one arm. You're like, make him go left. As soon as he go left, hit it with that nut, still cooking.
Yeah. Hey.
Anything this dude do.
Yeah.
He just locked me up. And you're the guy who got locked up by the white cornerback.
Bruh, it is. Look, man. Scrub Zero, a white cornerback, those still exist. Yeah, I'm telling you. Jason Sehorn can rest easy now.
It's a unicorn, man. I'm telling you.
I don't know, man. If he hits the way he's supposed to hit,
it's gonna be nasty.
He might birth a whole new era. Like
it's gonna be nasty.
I mean, Peyton Hills crawled so C-Mac could walk. This might be Sehorn crawled so my man's Cooper DeJean could walk, could run. Like it's
bro. And he's not just a good corner because he's white, but he really like that.
No, he nice.
Like,
He's nice. I
right, and
implore all of y'all to watch the film on Cooper DeJean.
if I'm moving him to nickel to start off though, because run support
Really?
wise, he coming downhill.
Yeah, he does
If you
attack.
they do need help at cornerback, but if you say, hey, the hip tightness, open the hips and press, I don't really like it. Let's just get you on the field though. I'm definitely getting a package where he at nickel. I'm definitely doing that. He need to be on the
And
field. He gonna be like that. I'm telling you.
I have a hot
Telling you.
take.
Hit me.
He would be a perfect Patriot if Belichick was still there. Not only does he look the part, he can actually play the part.
He can play
Him
the
and
part.
Gonzalez,
That's nasty. Ooh, I like that.
if I was Belichick, I would have hung on one more year. I would take Cooper DeJean at 3 if I was Belichick. Like, I need that. I needs that.
Hey, he'll convert him to a Wes Welker quick.
Big
Hey, son,
fact.
go run it. Telling you. But nah,
Bruh.
buddy like that. Buddy like that.
Yeah, legit. Scrub Zero bet. I'll keep my eye on Cooper DeJean. No, big facts, please do. And we'll
Go watch this film. I'm telling you. I will not tell you a lot.
Don't leave the live stream to go do it, but definitely after the live stream is done, definitely put in Cooper DeJean, and you're gonna be surprised. You're gonna be surprised because a lot of other receivers were surprised. They all learned over the last 2 years. They've been learning.
Man, let him catch you on the bubble screen, boy. It's over with.
Woo,
I'm telling you, over with.
bruh. He ain't. Yeah. He's not for play. He is not
no
for play.
hope.
I love any team that the bottom half of the first round. I just can't wait to check the timeline once Cooper DeJean goes, because that highlight film's gonna come on right after he gets picked, and a whole lot of folks are gonna be like, "Wait, is that yes? That's a white DB." Yeah, and he's running dudes down. He is running them down. Yeah, that's him.
Yes. Every meme I got, I'm posting that night. It's
Got
gonna be
to.
Wesley Snipes and white men can't jump or something. It's gonna be something crazy. I'm gonna come with trust me.
Gotta
He get
do it.
drafted.
Love that pick. All right,
All right, we
Tampa
have
Bay.
All right, so this one was
26. Team needs and what's the pick?
very, very affected by free agency. Now their biggest need is QB, wide receiver, interior offensive line. Now we know that Baker Mayfield is coming back. We know that Mike Evans is coming back. But that doesn't change my mind at all about this pick. I got them grabbing Keon Coleman from Florida State. Wide receiver. Now, you and I have talked extensively about this kid. We have talked extensively. Now, I did go back and watch his film from Michigan State when Peyton Thorne was throwing him the ball, and I watched his film when he was at Florida State. Now, I do know, what was that, 4.6 40? The way he ran? That 4.6, that did concern a lot of people. But his game speed is immaculate. Now, there is no such thing as a 50-50 ball when this dude is on the field. It's his. He's a difficult catch maker. High points the ball, full extension, attack it. He brings it down after the catch. He's hard to tackle once he catches the ball. If you let him catch the ball and start running, he's hard to bring down. He does have below average acceleration. I mean, he's 6'3", 213, which is to be expected. And he does have trouble creating separation. But he hits the 4.6. But he is a great, difficult catch maker. I know they just re-signed Mike Evans, similar games, but Chris Godwin's on a 1-year deal. They're probably not bringing him back because they get a deal with Mike Evans. So if you're Baker Mayfield, who's going to be here for the next 2 to 4 years, you're going to want another big body receiver. And that's why I got him going here.
I like that pick for a lot of reasons. And, as you said, me and you've been going back and forth offline about Keon Coleman and where his best fit is and what skill sets teams need to take advantage of. In this offense, I've gotten over the 4.6 thing. I was a little concerned about the 4.6 thing, but as you mentioned, you went back and watched film. I went back and watched film as well because me and you were talking like, all right, he might be there for the Ravens at the bottom,
Right.
and that could be the most perfect of landing spots. And that still
Right.
might be the case, but I was a little concerned about the 4-6 because to me, that means you're just a possession guy. But to your
Mm-hmm.
point, he plays faster than his 40 time. When he don't look 4-6 when he's got cleats on. Okay?
Right.
So I'm intrigued by the prospect of Keon Coleman. I like him for a lot of these teams at the bottom as we get in
Mm-hmm.
here towards the bottom of the first round. I think you can make a case for any of these teams outside
Oh,
of
for
Green
sure.
Bay, because all they got is receivers. Outside of the Packers, I think all of these teams at the bottom of the first round would be ecstatic to get
Definitely.
Keon Coleman. So I love that pick for any of these teams, but Tampa Bay, Chris Godwin ain't getting any younger. And why not go 3 wide? Why not go
Might as
3
well.
wide with Mike Evans, Keon Coleman, and Chris Godwin? Why not? Especially if you're really trying to make this Baker Mayfield thing a thing. He needs all
Right.
the
And
help he can get. So why not give him another weapon in Keon Coleman?
give him $100 million, you might as well. Being honest.
Right.
Now,
Arizona with their second
okay.
pick of the first round.
Via the Texans. No. D tackle, interior offensive lineman, and edge. I have them taking Tavondre Sweat out of Texas. Now, the defensive tackle. The best compliment I can give this guy is he's Vita Vea-ish.
Mm.
That's the best compliment. He's wide. I mean, 366. You see that? He's wide, tall, and strong as hell. That's literally my analysis. I mean, he can piece together some moves like nobody's business. So he can hit you with a bull rush and then immediately hit you with a rip. That at that size, I think that's fantastic. He can create a pocket if he's not doubled, but he does have below average snap quickness. You saw how big he is, so that's to be expected. But like I said, if you're 6'4", 366, you're gonna have below average snap quickness. You're not gonna be the fastest guy on the court, on the field. But like I said, the fact that he can pull together multiple rush moves consecutively with the bull rush and then a rip or a swim immediately following,
Right.
I love that. Like I said, Vita Vea-ish. That's the best compliment I got for him, and that's why he's picked there.
Yeah, the one caveat I have for him is you kind of mentioned it, like the fact that he's wide. I'm just concerned at that level. Like me and you have also talked offline about Jordan Davis
We
and the
have.
impact he can have at that similar type of size.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little concerned if Sweat at that level with that weight, if he truly carries that weight, they're probably going to make him lose a little bit. Like I can't
Mm-hmm.
imagine him starting week 1 366, but I don't
Right.
think he'll be that far from it. He might be in the 340s or something, but like even at
Mm-hmm.
340, I don't know if he knows how to manage that weight. Conditioning is also a thing. But
Right.
maybe you don't need him for that. If you have him as a situational short yardage guy, but again, you're talking
Two
that's still
downs.
a first round pick.
Two
Yeah.
downs. First, second. And like I said, there hasn't been a knock of him yet. With Jordan Davis coming in, we immediately heard that. Hey,
Right.
conditioning. We said in the NFL, there hasn't been a knock on this guy yet. Not saying it, and I could be, we don't know. But I'm not gonna paint that narrative because of his size, because I haven't heard it yet, I haven't seen it yet. But like I said,
It's just
if
hard
you're
to imagine
comfortable,
him not having that issue.
right, it is hard. But if you're coming to be Vita Vea-ish, and we've seen how dynamic he can be,
Different story.
I mean,
Different story.
and especially when the defensive line is in need,
Right.
I'm taking that. I'm taking that, especially in the defense they run. So that's my analysis on it. I mean, of course, there's other guys. There you got Darius Robinson out of Missouri, who's
Sure.
a lot leaner, I believe, and he is also somebody who can sneak into this first round based off what moves people make. Now he's a more of a D. He moves around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He's almost 100 pounds lighter, but
Yeah.
yeah,
It's an interesting prospect. I think And that's kind of the thing. Me and you've been talking about a lot of like just being offline and trying to
Mhm.
navigate the whole piece of edge versus interior line and what could be more effective at the next level and what
Right.
size and skill sets fit at this level. Him
Right.
being 6'4" at that weight also doesn't help. Like unless you're trying to tell me he's going to be an Albert Hainsworth, but Hainsworth wasn't even this goddamn big.
Now drop
Like
it down a little
so,
bit. Drop that down a little bit. So yeah. So you see, T'Vondre Sweat had 45 tackles, right?
right,
Now if you go to the top of that, go to the top of that list. Who do you see? His teammate that got drafted 10 picks before him.
right,
So it showed you his production, even at that size, is there. That lets me know, also watching the film, that conditioning was never. You are that big, boy, lay off the Popeyes chicken sandwiches, but
yeah,
the production is there. I know that because you have another guy on your team who is also him, but you still had almost double the tackles he did. You know what I mean?
right. No, I feel you. I feel you on that.
No, I get it. Like his size is a legitimate concern because we've seen when you give him money, that kind of just, especially with Jordan Davis being the most recent example,
Right.
it can't spiral out of control. So I do get it there, but hey, you just gotta manage it, I guess.
No, for sure. And that's the one thing you would hope an NFL franchise has a competent training and conditioning staff in place. And
Put
hopefully
him
if
on
he
that
really
yoke play.
wants it, if he
Put him on
wants
that
to be
yoke play like
effective at that
Jennifer
level.
Hudson.
Well, yes. I mean, all these girls are on Ozempic right now, so who knows?
Oh yeah,
Maybe they get mans on that Ozempic.
hope he died. It's gonna be crazy. Aaron
Yeah.
Donald.
So Buffalo at 28, team needs, and what should the Buffalo Bills do, who are perennial Cinderellas? What should they do at 28?
So this changed a little bit. Initially, I had it as safety, D tackle, and edge, the three needs, but it went to safety, D tackle, and receiver. Even knowing that I think Gabe Davis is gone, we found it out today. I
Yes.
think you have to draft Cameron Kitchens, the safety out of Miami. Why? Because the only safety you have on the roster right now is DeMar Hamlin, and I don't know how comfortable anybody is with that. I mean, we're glad he came back from the dead. You know,
Right. Yeah, but
comeback
he's
player of the year
yeah.
was all but his, but Joe Flacco just had to be super Flacco, GOAT Flacco, as people call him.
Right.
I, I don't know if I'm comfortable going into the new year with DeMar Hamlin as my only safety. I mean, you lost, so
Right.
he,
You have
you
to have
you
a plan in
literally
place.
you
Yeah.
literally need somebody else besides DeMar Hamlin. And I think the only reason he's still on the team is because he did
He
come
did
back.
that. Yeah.
Let's let's be honest. He's not
DeMar
that good of a
Hamlin of Nazareth.
he's not that good of a player. Now,
Yeah,
Cameron
he he,
Kitchens.
he was a backup even before. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I am a Sean Taylor fan. That's why I'm a Miami fan. I did go to Auburn, but we're not talking about Auburn. I did watch Miami a lot. I'm glad Tyler Van Dyke is going. We got Cam Ward now. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Cam Kitchens. He has great ball skills. He can shadow routes perfectly. He has that type of recognition. He can also drop down to the nickel position because he's a great run supporter, but he does need better eye balance when it comes to QB and receiver. So he can get lost in the backfield a lot. That's just eye discipline. Also, I don't know if the kid was good at geometry, but his angles to the ball carrier needs work as well. So hey, you want to cut the running back off. Meet him where he's going to be, not where he is. Other than that, I think he's a solid prospect.
Yeah, I co-sign a lot of what you said. Ball hawk definitely is a thing for me at that position. I think you have to be a ball hawk, and it's one thing to be able to get to the ball, but it's another thing to get to the ball and actually make the pick. Hello, Jalen Johnson. But I think with Kitchens there, he's a guy that will actually convert the turnover.
Mm-hmm.
And he could be dynamic with the rock after that. Like, don't get caught up. Much like Keon Coleman, the 40 time is not impressive at 4.65, but
Right.
he plays faster than he looks. So
Oh, for
I I,
sure.
I don't think that'll be a detriment at the next level. So I do like that pick a lot. I do think he could be, again, much like we spoke about to a lot of these teams at the bottom of the first round. I think the same
Mm-hmm.
thing at Kitchens. I think Kitchens could drastically improve all these teams that are down here in that 20, even y'all at in Dallas at 24. Like all
For
any
sure.
team in the 20s on down, I think could be beneficial of picking up Kitchens. So I agree with you.
Definitely.
You want to go to the
Now,
Lions at 29. 29,
let's
the
do that.
Lions, Cinderella story, kind of, sort of, even though we knew they were coming with the roster that they had. What's the
Right.
team needs for an improving team? And what do they do at pick number 29?
Improving the needs is cornerback, offensive guard, and the edge rusher, which is crazy because they got Aiden Hutchinson. So
Right.
I have them drafting edge rusher Latu from UCLA. Because if you pair him with Aiden Hutchinson, you talking about two dynamic players who are young, who can grow together. That's going to be nasty work for the NFC. Now, he had 13 sacks in 2023, I believe. At least is what one of the things. 13 sacks.
Yep.
He has a very high motor, high IQ. Sometimes, pulls his rush when making a tackle. You got to follow through with that thing. You know what I'm saying? He's a quick win rusher against guards. So if you line him up on the inside, you can move him. He can win easily against guards. He stacks and sheds blockers with ease. It also has good timing. What did I say? The only knock on him is his pursuit speed. His average. But I know I had Dallas Turner going earlier to the Falcons, but I truly believe skilled pass rusher in this draft. And this is really gonna do it for you, Sam. His NFL comp, TJ Watt.
It's high praise.
TJ Watt. I'm not even joking. High motor. He is. I know. We on the East Coast. UCLA games come on at 3 a.m. when we sleep.
Pac-10 after dark.
But
Yeah. Pac-12 after dark.
If you're telling me the only thing you got to worry about is pursuit speed, then hey, and you got Aiden Hutchinson on the other side of him, hey, y'all gotta get to it faster.
Is he a 3-down lineman or a situational pass rush guy week 1?
I think you can bring him in and he's pass rushing week 1.
Okay.
So I think Aiden Hutchinson has showed us enough to where he deserves
all 3 downs.
Some of that attention.
Yep.
And he is a guy who has significant pursuit speed. Aiden Hutchinson, I mean, right? Yep. I mean, this dude 6'5", 250. Now I would cut that weight probably by 10 pounds, but other than that, but like I said, his pass rush skills second to none in this draft. He's the most skilled rusher in this draft class, and I can stand on that.
The one thing I would love for him to improve on, bruh, you 6'5" on the edge. I need a lot more pass deflections from you.
Mm-hmm.
You 6'5", the anticipation isn't there.
Right.
And I think that's another weapon at this next level is if you don't get there, at least put your hands up. In at 6'5" and change, I think he has to learn how to develop that because that's a waste of height.
Sure.
If you're not in the backfield every down, got to get the hand up at that height. But I do like the pick though. I do like your analysis. I co-sign it.
Like when I say high IQ, that only was meant for rushing. Because I do agree.
Gotcha.
You gotta get them hands up. Got to.
And now team, the Baltimore Ravens at dirty 30.
Yes, sir. Time for
maybe signing Derrick Henry. I'll double check the timeline while you give your pick and your breakdown. But Baltimore Ravens coulda, shoulda, woulda been in the Super Bowl. Pick 30. Team needs. What do they do?
Defensive tackle, offensive guard, wide receiver. Now you and I have talked much off screen about what Lamar Jackson needs to be able to dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I know there's a lot of ways I can go about this. We can shore up the offensive side of the ball as far as the line goes. We can touch some people on the defensive line, but forget all that. Let's make a fun pick. We're going Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver, out of Texas. That's who I got going there. We did have questions about Keon Coleman too. We saw the 4.6. He's a better fit for the Bucks, which means I got Adonai Mitchell out of Texas going to Baltimore. Now, 6'2". Okay, 4.3 40. He's a long ball tracker, incredible foot quickness off the line, so you really not jamming him. He's able to break tackles, speed shifter in and out of routes for sudden change of directions. And I told you earlier, I compare him to George Pickens.
Right.
So that's it. And you
I
see
like
where
the
in
pick.
that mock draft he's going to the Chiefs. Nope, Ravens.
Yeah. Again, I think, the size is the important piece for me. Trying to give Lamar a big target. We see what he's been able to do with big targets in Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. Give him another 6'2.5", 6'3" kind of receiver that has some ability to do sluggos, to do 9 routes, go routes, and stretch the field vertically. I think that is imperative that the Ravens do in this offseason. Somebody that could take the top off the defense, because Odell is not that no more. Those days are long gone, and he wasn't that tall to begin with. So they need a big body,
Right.
a guy that can do that. And I think Mitchell is someone that could play that position well. So I agree.
Home run. If he slides that far.
The 49ers. Some would say one of the most deepest rosters in the league, the most talented roster in the league. What needs do you think they have, and what should they do at the next to last pick in the first round at 31?
Cornerback, offensive tackle, and interior offensive lineman. Now, this one was a hard one because, like you said, they are pretty deep. But I got them taking Chop Robinson, DN out of Penn State. Now, I say that because Chase Young, we don't know what's going on with him. Randy Gregory, we don't know what's going on with him. But this guy has the ability to set a firm edge, elite explosiveness that overwhelms blockers. Freak athlete off the edge, truly similar to Michael Parsons. Only thing is he doesn't keep his feet under his pads and needs to work on his technique when taking on blocks. That's the only knock I got him. But the closest thing I compare him to is a Michael Parsons. He's not as good as Micah, not yet. But that's the only comp I have to adequately compare this guy.
Yeah, your one con is the one con that I had as well in watching film. Getting off the blocks, disengaging at the point of attack. That was my only caveat. But everything else you said, I agree with you, Cash Money. He's a guy that if he can figure that out, if he can develop ways to get off to disengage from the hands, I think he could be a game wrecker. I really think he has that type of acumen off that edge, and the way that the edges are coming back in style. I really feel if he could just get over that, and it's not a small thing, not being able to get off the block and not being able to fight off the hands. That's a huge part of your job.
Right.
But if he can get better at it, he might not eliminate it completely, but he could just get better at it. I think he could be a game wrecker.
I agree, because like if you got Bosa on the other side and you're equally as dominant as a rusher, you leaving these people to go through the middle who wait for you, Warner and Greenlaw. So if you can fix that in your game, that's nasty business. That's nasty.
And what does Jordan get at pick number 32?
I mean, this was more so a fun pick, just based off the combine. You already know I'm going with this one. We going Xavier Worthy out of Texas. Now they need a DT, wide receiver, and a cornerback. We're going Xavier Worthy. I mean, let's be real. It's Cheetah 2.0. Now, 5'11", 165, that is extremely concerning. Do I actually think they'll take him with this 32nd pick? No, I don't. But it's fun to say they will, because can you imagine if this dude did turn out to be like Tyreek? I mean, we saw him play at Texas. Like, I know people want to compare him to John Ross because of the speed. John Ross was not that good to me. compared to this
Correct.
kid. I saw him play.
Correct.
He already had a second round grade coming into the combine, but knowing that he runs a 4.21, that is nasty. When his separation up the line, you already know he has that. He knows how to create space, and if he breaks a tackle after he catches the ball, you can
He
wave goodbye.
gone. Yeah.
That's how
He's
you
doing
start
the peace sign too. He's doing the peace sign
That's
just like Tyreek. Facts.
easy. Now, if you asking me, that's why I got them picking. But if you ask me their real pick, I'm going Darius Robinson, the defensive tackle out of Missouri. Because even though they just re-signed, they just re-signed my boy. But you really can't go wrong with either of these two. I mean, both can help a need that they have. I mean, like you said, it's Patrick Mahomes. He Jordan. He got it done with a box of Pringles and some Ritz
Facts.
crackers.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't help to give him another weapon, especially when this guy's a speedster like Xavier Worthy. But beefing up that defensive line, Chris Jones was the second most important person to this championship run.
And you add in the guy that, as I'm trying to highlight here for the audience, and
Come on,
14 tackles for loss,
exactly.
living in
You
that
got
backfield.
two of them. So yeah, it really you can go back and forth. I picked Xavier Worthy because that was the fun pick for me after seeing the combine. I mean, he did nothing else. I did tell you we talked off screen that my only knock on Xavier Worthy, I wanted to see his route tree a little bit more because
Yes.
when he was at Texas, he was run a fade, run a
Right.
post. It wasn't give me some cop routes, give me some hitch and goes. You didn't see him break the defender down and actually have to change speed. It was more so all straight line stuff. So that's my only concern. I don't know if he can do that. Not saying he can't, but with a speed like that, and if he can do that, that would be disgusting with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Again, much like getting I would prefer to give Lamar Jackson a bigger target. I
mm-hmm.
think for Lamar, much to your point when you're leading into your analysis on Worthy, getting that Tyreek Hill 2.0 prototype, I think is
Mm-hmm.
imperative for the Chiefs in this offseason. Now, if you could
Yeah.
find a 6'3" dude that's a burner, great. But those don't grow on trees, and those are likely to be gone by the time you're picking at 32.
Now there are some more receivers in this draft. Now, if you want to give
There
him a
is.
grade, now if you go down to like what's that McConkey, Lad McConkey,
McConkey is a burner.
he's pretty good. He
4.39 in
again
the 40.
another fair skinned brother who
Yes. Cooper
can
DeJean and McConkey going back and forth in practice. I'm here for that. I'll sign up for that.
5'11" is a little concerning, but also a good. He's 186, so a little bit bigger than Xavier Worthy. He's not 4.21, but he got a 4.3, so he can get you in. He can break you down. I've seen him play this game. He's a ball. And then we also got to think about Johnny Wilson, who's going to slide. So we've talked about Johnny Wilson a lot. If you want him to get a
We
big body
have.
receiver who surprised the hell out of me by running as fast as he did in the draft, I mean the combine. He gonna be there. He gonna be there. You 6'6" running a 4.5. I mean,
Bottom of the first round, though?
no.
Okay, all
This
right,
is
all right. I'm just,
he,
you know
he
me. I'm
gonna
trying to find, yeah,
he gonna slide. He gonna slide, but he gonna
right.
be there.
Day 2,
So
for sure.
I don't mind you drafting that Xavier Worthy. Yeah, that's your speed, so that's your quickster. Open me up. Pause. If
Pause.
you can find a Johnny Wilson in the third round. So I mean that 64 ain't bad. At 64,
64, 95, yeah, yeah.
95, he gonna be there. So really the Chiefs have options. Honestly, I mean the fact that they couldn't land Mike Evans, the fact that they didn't get T Higgins, make
Yeah,
some calls. I'm pretty sure anybody would go play with
right.
Pat Mahomes. Hell, T.O. would come out of retirement and go play with Pat Mahomes.
Big
Chad Jones was
facts.
asked when he go play with Pat
Big
Mahomes. You
facts.
feel me? So I mean, you gonna find some guys, but I think Xavier Worthy there, it's just too good to pass up because the whole what if factor comes into play, right?
Let
What we
me
got
see.
going on.
Javon Kinlaw, 1-year deal with the Jets, so more interior line play.
Ooh, not the Jets. These
The
boys gearing up
Jets
for
are the
one
Jets are
year.
trying to do a thing. They are clearly trying to address the interior on both sides of the ball. I'm mad at that.
They're gearing up for a
Uh,
1 year run, bro. 1 year.
I
I
mean,
don't see
that's it makes sense with Aaron Rodgers. It makes sense. You really
it
only got
does.
1 year. You got 1 year
I
left.
don't see,
You tricked off the first year,
and
and now you
that's
just
that's
have
what
that
Jerry
second
Jones
year.
is going to do. This nasty. Jerry Jones has approached this free agency the same way. Look, Mike McCarthy, you got 1 more year. Dak, 1 year. Like, Eric, you need to go all in right now. Don't pinch your pockets. You got to think about it. They increased the salary cap by 12 million. No, 30 million. It's there.
Yes.
So the money's there. We need to make something happen, right? We need to go get Derrick Henry. We need to make some moves. I'm being a Cowboy fan is so exhausting sometimes. I swear, it's exhausting. I don't know if I can do this much longer. But yeah,
Well,
that was the
Steph,
right.
I want to thank you not only for joining me on the pod. That goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway at the end. But for putting in the work to compile this mock draft. I know a lot of folks want to say who they think is going to take whatever, but
Mhm.
ultimately you put in the work, you studied the film, and you broke everything down. It was able to give us a really strong, succinct mock draft. We had people tapping in on the chat. We've had viewers popping in, popping out. The round one mock draft is complete. Let me pull that up. But again, I want folks. I put his socials in the chat, the Elon app and the Zuckerberg app. Socials are there if you want to tap in and support Steph as he is he's a future analyst in this game. He's a future content creator in this game. And if you tapped in at any point on this live stream, you've seen the acumen, you've seen the IQ, you've seen the analysis and how succinct it is. So I want to make sure y'all show love to him, Scrub Zero, saying good work, guys. I just give the platform. I let Stefan cook, and he cooked. He chefed up a 7-course meal for us here with this first round mock draft, and we were live here reacting to all the free agent moves that are still ongoing, but no real big moves like how we were dealing with earlier in the stream. So, Steph, is there anything that happened today that stands out above it all in this free agency thing? And what was the most impressive free agent move that you saw happen today?
So I think first of all, I would say thank you for having me on the pod, bro. You know, we talk about it a
Appreciate it.
lot, especially at work. I love what you're doing. Love talking ball with people who actually know ball. Don't just, you know, listen to Mel Kiper. Again, love Mel
Salute.
Kiper. He's a co of ours. You know,
Right.
gotta give respect to it. But I appreciate you having me on. The biggest thing for me is the Falcons not getting Justin Fields. You know, we kind of said that off screen a lot over the past few weeks. It was like, you know who would have been perfect for the Falcons? Deshaun Watson. And they missed out. You know who would have been perfect? Lamar Jackson. They're the first ones. You said this. The first ones to say, hey, we're not in on
The
Lamar.
very
And
first. Yep.
you said, you know, Justin Fields going there makes too much sense. It's not going to happen. And that really shocked me the most. Because Kirk Cousins is I mean, I think Justin Fields fits better just based on what we know about Atlanta. But getting
Right.
Kirk Cousins is, bro, that's huge for those playmakers on that offense. I think that's what stuck out to me the most.
I'll say this one last thing, and folks could say it's a hot take, but I'll still say it.
Mm-hmm.
Arthur Blank will never go after a black QB ever again. He still has trauma from Mike Vick. He will never, ever. And I know Ritter is a half, but he ain't never going full melanin ever again. He can't bring himself to do it. He gave him $100 million contract, and the kennel took him out of there, and he will never do it again. And even though he could have had Deshaun Watson, could have had Lamar, and he could have had Justin Fields, and in each time he has went Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ritter, and Kirk Cousins. Sometimes
further
you
and
don't
further away.
have to say it out loud. It's right there. Nasty Man, Marcus Mariota. Lamar Jackson, Desmond Ritter, Tyler Heineke, Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins, and 100 million guaranteed. Don't think that number ain't there for a reason.
Right.
He ain't never
And
gonna go full melanin ever again. I don't see it.
he's probably in the blackest city of all the NFL teams. That Baltimore, Detroit, they're literally there, and you
And he still
refuse to
won't
do it.
do it.
People say for the culture, he refuses. He
It is,
refuses.
I
And you
think he
said it.
needs to
You
be
did
taken
call
to
it.
task, bro.
You did call it. You called this. I said, "Hey, Justin Fields going to the Falcons." You said, "Steph, it's too perfect. It makes too much sense. Arthur Blank ain't doing it." And
It's certain
you were
teams
right.
that won't do it, bro. The Falcons won't do it because they were burned. So he's got
Yeah.
trauma that he's never gotten over. And the Giants wouldn't do it. The Giants won't do it.
I'm
Like
surprised
this,
the Broncos did it with Russell Wilson. It's maybe because he's a stand-up guy, but I'm surprised John Elway pulled that trigger.
well, I mean, when we're talking
It's,
about Russ,
yeah, he's a.
he's more Desmond Ritter than he is Lamar. You know what I'm saying? So, you know,
And
certain
he got
certain
Sierra.
franchises are willing to go with certain types of melanin. Some of them ain't willing to go full melanin or certain types of melanin.
Yeah, that's probably the one that stuck out me the most because getting Kirk Cousins for those playmakers is huge for that offense. Hopefully, they utilize them the right way. The piece is not Kirk Cousins. I know Kirk Cousins gonna cook regardless. That's all he's done all his career. Like one thing you can say about Kirk Cousins is he had the stats. If you want to call him Philip Rivers, sure. The one thing he gonna do is put up some numbers. Does he win all the time? But hey, the weapon's gonna be happy. I mean, the
Yeah, I
whole
mean, I'll bring up his stats one time as we wrap up here. Just the sheer numbers. You're talking 4,000 all these years in a row. A little blip with 3,600, but he's been hitting 4,000 like it's easy. 25 plus TDs like it's easy. 30 plus TDs like it's easy. I'm telling you, like now we'll know in Atlanta. A lot of folks been pushing about Drake London. Is he really him? Kyle Pitts, is he really him? Now we gonna know.
right.
Cause like you said, we know one thing Kirk Cousins gonna do. He gonna put that rock up.
He gonna throw it, and Bijan gonna eat too.
He
Because
should eat.
even with
Bijan should
him,
eat. Everybody should eat.
yes, even when he was putting up 4,000 yards in Minnesota, as you see, Dalvin Cook still had four consecutive 1,000-yard rushing yard seasons. So everybody gonna eat on this offense. It's gonna be a new day. Like the Bucs was running away with that division with Kirk Cousins coming. It's
Yeah, I mean, look, they should have won the division last year if they had any competent QB play. They were in the wild card mix the year before that. Like they were
yeah,
really always a QB away from being relevant.
right. And I will
And
say
now
this.
they
I will
finally
say
got rid of Arthur Smith in that archaic ground and pound system.
over.
Now they could get a real system in there. Raheem's gonna do what he do with the defense. I'm big on Atlanta right now.
For sure. I got a Neo who played for the Bucks, play linebacker.
Okay.
He said his biggest concern about free agency was Justin Fields going to Atlanta. He said, "Hey, that boy hard. I don't know if we're trying to see him two times a year." I
Facts.
mean,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
at the end of the day, he said, he's still gonna get that work, but
Oh, of
we
course.
know how
Yeah.
they felt about Justin Fields versus everybody else.
And
But
I love that you're bringing that point up, right? Because I don't think folks understand just because some analysts on TV say, "Well, I don't know about Justin Fields," or the dudes that know that are playing the game, they know how much of a problem he can be with the
right,
right people around him.
mm-hmm,
So don't listen to what these analysts are saying or these insiders are saying. They're always just there. There's always another method to the madness. There's always hidden agendas there. But
right,
like just like hoopers know hoop, ballers know ball.
Right.
And when you got Justin Fields out there or with any type of semblance of help, shit. I mean, we saw 2 years ago what he did with no help. Over 1,000
Exactly.
yards rushing, light work. Put that man
Like
with some help,
David Montgomery. Keep it. You get this man
bruh.
Bijan Robinson, it's
A
gonna be nasty.
Bajan, a
Like I
Drake
said,
London, a Cal
this man
Pitts.
played for the
No.
Bucks, bro. He
Let's
played for the
give him a
Bucks. He
Cole Kmet.
said, exactly. He said, I do not want to see that man 2 times a year. I mean, like I said, he did come back and say, you know what, regardless, he's gonna get that work, but he liked that.
Right.
This is an
Right.
NFL player in the group chat saying this. So like that should go to show you that say what you want about Jay Fields, but he was picked where he was picked for a reason.
Yeah, for sure. So Scrub Zero reached out. He's following you now on the Elon app. So salute Scrub Zero. He respects the analysis. So we appreciate that here. Scrub Zero does his own content too. He does live streaming. So tap in with him together. That's how we do it on some home team shit. So, Steph, any last words for the folks? Obviously, I think whenever you want to pull up, we could definitely do this again as we get closer. If you want to update the draft, or if you just want to pull up and kick it, however you want to do it, you have an open invite here to the DCMD brand, whether it's Timeline T or the DCMD podcast.
Know that. Well, whenever you want to have me, bro, you know I'm always down to talk some ball. You know, it's the passion. That's what we do. Like I said, thanks for having me on. Y'all gonna get me in trouble with my but you know.
Yeah. So we will go ahead and wrap it up because we both got to answer some texts. So I appreciate everyone here in the chat. I appreciate everyone that's pulled up live or in the replay. If you have not subscribed to the channel, I would appreciate if you would do so. Tap in with Stefan's socials as well. It's in the chat. I'll make sure it's in the comments for the folks that watch the replay. So again, for me, the Sam D, this has been Timeline T. Salute to Steph for pulling up. We'll catch y'all again very soon for the next one. Peace.